Hey guys, and welcome back to Born in the Past. Tonight, we leave behind the familiar worlds of empires you know, of marble temples and robed philosophers. We are traveling to a time and a place that was a myth even to the other Greeks. A society built on a foundation of discipline so absolute, it bordered on inhuman. We journey to the valley of the Eurotas River, to the heart of Laconia. We are going to Sparta. Together, we will try to understand a paradox. We will explore the life of a woman who was granted more freedom than any in the ancient world, and yet was bound by chains of duty heavier than any iron. We will feel the chill of the morning air during her mandatory physical training. We will hear the profound silence of a home empty of a husband and sons. And we will learn what it means to face the ultimate loss, not with tears, but with pride. So before the morning inspection begins, take a moment to support these journeys into history. Like the video if you're ready to explore the Spartan mystery, and subscribe so you never miss a trip to the past. And tell me in the comments, which society in history do you believe demanded the most from its women? All right, let's straighten our backs and prepare to be judged. The first thing you are aware of is not the light, it is the cold. It is a specific kind of cold. One that lives deep within the stone of the Tagus Mountains and seeps through the thickest wool blankets. It is a dry, sharp cold that doesn't just touch you, it penetrates. It feels ancient, a primordial promise of the day to come. Unforgiving, unchanging. It is the first test of the morning, and you have never failed it. You do not stir slowly. You don't stretch with the lazy grace of a woman who owns her morning, whose time is a gentle unfolding. Your waking is a conscious decision, a silent command you give to your own body. You are a Spartan woman, and your first duty of the day is to conquer the velvet softness of sleep, to prove that even in the dark, your will is absolute. You open your eyes. The command has been obeyed. The room is a study in shadows. The walls formed from rough-hewn timber and dark, imposing stone. The air is still and heavy, carrying the faint, clean scent of limestone and dry wood. The only window is a narrow slit near the high ceiling, an architectural feature designed not for a view of the sunrise, but for defense against a potential Helot uprising. It shows only a pale, indifferent gray smear of the pre-dawn sky. There is no beauty here, because beauty is a distraction. There is only function. Your hand, a map of calluses from discus and javelin training, rests on the empty space beside you in the bed. The woven wool sheets are cold, perfectly undisturbed. Of course they are. Your husband, like all Spartan men of fighting age, does not belong here. He belongs to his Syssitia, his dining mess, his brotherhood. He is a cog in the great machine of the Spartan phalanx. He sleeps in the barracks, breathes the air of other men, shares his life with them. He is a weapon of the state, and you are the forge. A forge must remain strong, must endure the heat and the hammering without cracking. This bed is not a place of comfort or shared warmth. It is a place of duty, a place of procreation. Its emptiness is not a source of loneliness. You were taught from birth that loneliness is an indulgence, a form of vanity. The emptiness is simply a fact, a condition of your existence. Like the hardness of the ground or the heat of the summer sun, you do not warn it. You accept it. You rise from the bed in a single, fluid motion. Your movements are always efficient, devoid of wasted energy. The peplos, the simple, heavy tunic worn by Spartan women, is coarse against your skin. It is practical, it is durable. It is dyed a deep, functional crimson, the color of dried blood, the color of Sparta itself. There are no delicate silks here, no intricate gold jewelry. Such things are for the weak, for the Athenians who hide their women away like treasures. For the Corinthians who sell their beauty in the marketplace, you are not a treasure. You are not for sale. You are a pillar of the state, and pillars must be made of unadorned stone. Your eyes scan the room, cataloging its contents with the detached air of a quartermaster. The room is sparse, almost defiantly so. A heavy wooden chest, its carvings simple and geometric, holds you few garments. A small three-legged table, a clay jug of water, and in the corner, shrouded in shadow, a small carved wooden horse. Your breath catches in your throat, just for a half-beat, a flicker of an unauthorized emotion, quickly suppressed. It belonged to your son. He's 7 years old, or he was when they came for him. He is a boy of the Agage now, the state's brutal, unforgiving school, designed to hammer boys into men or break them. He is no longer your little boy who laughed when you tickled him, who smelled of milk and sun. He is now a recruit, a number. He is learning to steal his food, to fight his friends, to endure pain in silence. They are burning the softness out of him, bit by bit, just as life has burned it out of you. You force your gaze away from the toy. Memory is a traitor. It whispers of a life that is not and cannot be. It weakens the resolve. You walk to the clay jug, its surface cool and rough beneath your fingertips. You pour water into a simple bronze basin, the splash echoing loudly in the silent room. You plunge your hands in, then bring the icy liquid to your face. The shock of it is a welcome friend. It is real. It is present. It chases away the ghost of a child's laughter. It brings you back to your purpose, to the cold, to the duty. From outside, a new sound cuts through the wind, the low, mournful call of a horn from the helot quarters, signaling the start of their long day of labor in your fields. Your fields. It is a reminder of another duty. Your duty as a landowner, a manager, a master. You are the daughter of Sparta. You are the wife of Sparta. You are the mother of Sparta. And your day, in all its cold and unforgiving reality, has just begun. You leave the cold silence of your home and step into the sharp morning light. The air is thin and bites at your exposed arms and legs, but you are already moving towards the dromos, the running track where the girls and women of Sparta meet to perform their sacred duty, the duty of perfection. Other Greek cities hide their women away. They bind their feet in sandals, cover their faces with veils, and value a pale complexion, a sign that they have never labored under the sun, a quiet, docile ornament for the home. You look at your companions now, their faces flushed with exertion, their limbs powerful and tanned, their hair tied back with simple leather straps, and you feel a surge of what you have been taught is pride. A fierce, sharp-edged pride. You are not ornaments. You are the vital foundation of the state. What a glorious purpose. The running begins. There is no gentle warm-up. You fall into stride with 24 other women, your bare feet pounding the earth in a rhythm that could match any infantry march. There is a raw power here that would shame an Athenian aristocrat. You run until your lungs feel like they are lined with fire, until every muscle screams. You are racing against the woman next to you, yes, but she is not your true competitor. Your true competitor is weakness. And you will not lose to it. This body you inhabit, you are its caretaker, its trainer, its master. But you are not its owner. Ownership implies rights of disposal. Your body has only one function, determined by the state. And this grueling morning ritual is simply maintenance on a piece of vital state machinery. After the running comes the discus. You select a heavy bronze disc, its surface cool and smooth in your hand. You have been doing this since you were a girl. You know the precise mechanics of the spin, the transfer of weight from your back foot to your front, the explosive release. The discus flies, a perfect soaring arc against the pale sky, landing far down the field, a perfect throw. Another woman nods in approval. It is a beautiful display of strength, of grace, of potential. The potential to create a son who will be measured by the same cold standards, a son who will be taken from you. All this effort, this perfection of form, this cultivation of strength, is for a product you will not be allowed to keep. It is the strangest sort of transaction. You are preparing the perfect vessel, only to have its most precious cargo confiscated upon delivery. Finally, the wrestling. You square off against another woman, her skin slick with sweat, her eyes holding the same flinty determination as your own. The grappling is real. The holds are painful. The throws are hard. There are no courtesies here. You fight to win. You use leverage, strength, and cunning. You feel the strain in your shoulders as you resist a hold, the jarring impact as your bodies hit the dusty ground. And in this violence, in this struggle for dominance, lies the deepest irony of your existence. This is your sisterhood. This is the closest you come to intimacy with your peers, not in shared secrets or whispered confessions, but in the brutal language of bruises and strained muscles. You fight each other to make each other stronger. You test each other for weaknesses, because any weak link in the chain of Spartan womanhood threatens the entire state. You pin her shoulders to the ground. You have won. She taps your arm, a gesture of submission. You get up, help her to her feet, and exchange a brief, unsmiling nod. No words are needed. You both understand the rules perfectly. You are free, they say. Free to run, to wrestle, to own land. You are free to do anything, except feel. You return to the house. If it can be called that, a house is a home, a place of family, of laughter, of life. This is more of a barracks, for one. A stone and timber shell that contains you between your public duties. The silence you step into is a physical presence. It is the opposite of the world you just left, the world of grunts and shouts, of panting breath and bodies in motion. That was the world of the living, the world of the state in action. This is something else, the silence of absence. Your heart is still pounding from the exertion, a frantic rhythm against your ribs. It feels out of place here, too loud, too alive. You move through the main room, your bare feet making no sound on the packed earth floor. You perform a simple task, pouring a cup of water from the clay jug. Your hands are steady, your movements are controlled, but your eyes are drawn to the corner of the room, to the heavy wooden chest. It is a simple thing, made of dark oak, bound with bronze. It holds your peplos, your winter cloak, a few leather straps, things of function, things of necessity. But it is also a tomb. It holds the one thing in this house that serves no function at all, the one piece of contraband you allow yourself. You approach it. The air around it seems colder, heavier. Every other woman in Sparta has a chest like this. And perhaps every one of them also has a ghost locked inside. This is a thought you have never spoken, a question you would never dare to ask. To admit your own weakness is a crime. To suspect it in others would be an insult. You kneel before the chest. The lid is heavy, and you lift it without a sound. The scent of dry wood and folded wool rises to meet you. There, lying on top of your crimson tunic, is the carved wooden horse. It is small enough to fit in the palm of your hand. The wood is splintered in places, the carving clumsy. One of its legs is shorter than the others, making it wobble. It is a crude, imperfect thing, and it is the most dangerous object you own. You pick it up. The wood is warm, or maybe it's just the heat from your own skin. You run a thumb over the nicks and gouges in its surface. You remember the day he made it. your son. Lycurgus, a strong name, a lawmaker's name, a name he had yet to earn. He was 6. He sat on the floor, his tongue sticking out from the corner of his mouth in concentration, wielding a small, dull knife you had given him. You were watching him, a rare moment of stillness in your day. You should have been mending a tunic or reviewing the estate's grain stores, but you watched him instead. He was trying to make it look like the magnificent horses the Hippies, the royal guard, rode. He finished, held it up to you, and smiled. A real smile. Not the tight, disciplined expression he was taught to wear outside, but a wide, gap-toothed smile of pure, unadulterated pride. For you, mother, he had said. So you are not alone when I am gone. A prophecy from the mouth of a child. The memory is a poison. A sweet, warm poison that spreads through your veins. It reminds you of a time you were not just a Spartan, but a mother. It reminds you of a love that was simple, personal. A love that had no function for the state. A useless love. Your grip tightens on the horse. The conditioning, the lifetime of training, screams at you. This is weakness. This is the path to ruin. Grief makes women soft. Soft women bear soft sons. Soft sons lose battles. The logic is as inescapable as a phalanx closing ranks around you. To love the memory of the boy is to betray the future of the man. It is to betray Sparta. What a terrible, perfect trap. You are commanded to produce children, and then commanded to sever the bond, to feel nothing but pride in their transformation into strangers. You are the shipbuilder who must fall in love with the timber, only to feel nothing when the finished ship sails away, never to return to your harbor. You have won another internal battle. You have defeated a memory of a laughing child. Sparta would be proud. You place the wooden horse back in the chest, gently, as if it were a sleeping animal you did not wish to wake. You place your folded tunic over it, burying it once more in the darkness. You close the lid. The sound of the heavy wood settling is a sound of finality, a tomb being sealed. You rise, your face a mask of calm indifference. The house is silent once more. But the silence has changed. It is no longer just empty, it is haunted. You do not linger in the haunted space of your room. To dwell is to weaken. You have sealed the ghost in its tomb, and now you must attend to the living. Or rather, you must attend to those who are being forged into the next generation of survivors. You move to a smaller chamber, adjacent to your own. The air here is different. It holds the faint, warm, human scent of sleeping children. It is a scent you associate with a softness you have been trained to mistrust. Here sleep your 2 daughters, aged 9 and 11. Here sleeps the future of your bloodline, the future of Sparta. They are not sprawled in their beds in the tangled mess of childish dreams. Even in sleep, they are disciplined. They lie straight. Their breathing even, their simple wool blankets pulled neatly to their chins. They are already learning that control begins within the self, even in the unconscious realm of the night. It is a lesson you have taught them well. You do not wake them with a gentle touch or a soft song. Such things are for the mothers of Athens, who raise their daughters to be decorative and delicate. You are raising lionesses, not songbirds. Stand, you say. The word is not loud, but it is sharp. It is a command, and it cuts through the morning quiet. Immediately, 2 sets of eyes open. There is no grogginess, no complaint. They have been conditioned to respond to your voice as a soldier responds to a horn blast. They slide from their beds, their small, strong bodies already tensing, and stand side by side for your morning inspection. This is motherhood in Sparta. It is not an act of nurturing. It is an act of quality control. And your eyes, sharp and critical, sweep over them. You walk around them, your gaze missing nothing. You are looking for flaws, for weakness, for any sign that the softness of childhood might be winning its silent war against the hardness of their training. Kaniska, you say to the elder, your shoulders, you are letting them curve. Do you wish to look like an Ionian potter hunched over her clay? The girl, all of 11 years old, immediately pulls her shoulders back, her spine ramrod straight. Her face is a small, serious mask of concentration. No, mother. A Spartan woman stands as if she is ready to hold up the sky should the gods drop it. Remember that. You turn to the younger, Lyra. You place a hand on her back. This is not a caress. It is a test. Your fingers probe, feeling the muscles along her spine. You are strong, you state. It is a simple fact, not a compliment. Praise makes people complacent. But your strength is useless without a mind to guide it. You look from one to the other. Their faces are blank, receptive. They are waiting for the day's lesson. It will not be about weaving or singing, as it would be in other cities. Their lessons are in strategy, logic, and endurance. A riddle for you both, you say, your voice even and low. Listen carefully. An Athenian general, a Corinthian merchant, and a Spartan magistrate are all caught in a flood. They climb onto a roof. The Athenian begins to orate, delivering a beautiful speech about the tragedy of their situation. The Corinthian begins to calculate the value of the goods lost in the water. The Spartan, you pause, letting them think. What does the Spartan do? Your eldest, Kaniska, answers first. As always, she checks the roof for weaknesses and looks for a higher point of ground, mother. Why? Because speeches do not stop the water from rising, and prophets are useless to a drowned man. Only action leads to survival. You give a single sharp nod of approval. Correct. It is a good answer. A Spartan answer. You are teaching them to see the world not as it is presented, but as it truly is. A series of problems to be solved, of obstacles to be overcome. You are teaching them to be practical, ruthless, efficient. You are teaching them to be free from the burden of pointless emotion. A strange sort of freedom, the one that comes from locking away parts of yourself. You look at them, these two small girls, so serious, so strong. They are the living embodiment of your duty. You are raising them to be the freest women in all of Greece, free to manage land, to speak their minds, to train their bodies. And they will use that freedom for one purpose: to marry a man they do not choose, to bear sons they will not keep, and to endure losses that would shatter any other woman. You are raising them to be you. And as you look at them, you feel a flicker of something in the pit of your stomach. Is it pride? Yes, that is what it must be. It is pride in their strength, in their discipline. It could not possibly be anything else. It could not be a deep, aching sorrow for the life you are meticulously preparing them for. Such a feeling would be useless. Good, you say again, the word sealing the lesson. Now get dressed. The day's work does not wait for riddles. They move to obey, their actions quick and silent. You watch them for a moment longer. They are learning well. They are learning how to be pillars. They do not know yet that the purpose of a pillar is to bear an impossible weight, and to do it in absolute silence. You step out from the main house into the sprawling courtyard of your kleros, your estate. The sun has climbed higher now, casting long shadows from the olive trees that dot the landscape. Here, the world is no longer silent. It is filled with the sounds of labor. This is the sound of your wealth, the sound of Sparta's power, and it is the sound of its deepest, most terrifying secret. Your role shifts in an instant. You are no longer just a mother, a wife, a trainee. Here, you are a master, an administrator, a queen in all but name. This land, stretching as far as you can see, the fields of barley, the groves of ancient olive trees, the pastures for the sheep, is yours. A gift from the state to be managed by you while your husband is at war or in the barracks. A strange sort of gift, one that comes with an army of resentful caretakers. An older man emerges from the direction of the barns, his back bent not just from age, but from a lifetime of deference. This is Damon, your helot foreman. His face is a roadmap of seasons in the sun. His eyes sharp and intelligent, too intelligent. He stops a respectful distance from you, bowing his head. "Mistress," he says. His voice is low, neutral. It reveals nothing. You do not return the greeting. You are not here to exchange pleasantries. You are here to receive a report. Your posture is straight, your hands clasped behind your back. It's a position of authority, but also of readiness. You never let anyone stand too close. "The barley," you say. Your tone is not a question, it's a prompt. "It is ready in the north field, mistress. The heads are heavy, a good harvest, blessed by the gods." You ignore the mention of the gods. The gods do not fill the state granaries. Hard labor and careful management do. The weather is clear. Begin the harvest at dawn tomorrow. Pull the teams from the lower olive groves. The harvest takes priority. "It will be done," he says. There is no emotion in his voice, but you can feel the unspoken calculation behind his eyes. Shifting the teams means a delay in the olive pressing. A delay could mean a lesser quality oil. He knows this. And he knows that you know it. This is the constant, silent chess match you play. "The new olive press," he continues. "The main stone has cracked. It is a clean break, but we will lose a week repairing it. The Arcadian traders were by yesterday. They have a replacement stone, a good one, for a price." You feel a flicker of irritation. The Arcadians are opportunistic vultures. "No," you say, your voice sharp. "Their price is theft. Send 2 men to the Tagetus quarry. They will hew a new stone. It will take 2 weeks, not 1, but it will cost us only sweat. We do not enrich our neighbors with our problems." "Yes, mistress." He hesitates for a moment. This is the part of the report you dread. The part that deals not with crops and stones, but with people, with property that has a will of its own. "There is one more thing," Damon says, his eyes fixed on a spot on the ground somewhere to your left. "The boy, Nikos, he was caught with a wineskin from the stores. He says it was a gift. The others say it was theft. Here it is, the nexus of your power and your fear. Nikos is a strong worker, young with years of labor ahead of him. To punish him too severely would be a waste of a valuable asset. To be too lenient would be a sign of weakness. And weakness invites rebellion. You are one Spartan woman standing in the middle of 100 helots. Your authority is a carefully constructed illusion, maintained by tradition, by fear, and by the ever-present threat of the Crypteia, the secret police who hunt and kill helots to keep the population in terror. You are powerful. You are terrified. This is the paradox you must live with every single day. "A gift?" you ask, your voice laced with cold irony. "And who was so generous with my property?" Damon is silent. He will not betray another helot. Their solidarity is their only shield against you. "Theft is theft," you declare, your voice ringing with an authority you can only hope you possess. "He will be whipped. 10 lashes. In front of the others, at the evening meal. Let it be a lesson in the difference between a gift and a foolish decision." You watch his face for a reaction. There is none. Just a slight, almost imperceptible tightening of his jaw. The punishment is harsh enough to be a deterrent, but not so harsh as to render the boy useless. It is a pragmatic, calculated cruelty. It is the Spartan way. "Is that all, Damon?" "Yes, mistress." "Then see to it." You dismiss him with a nod. He bows again and retreats, his bent back a perfect picture of submission. You watch him go, your gaze sweeping across the fields. You see the workers, dots in the distance, their bodies moving in the rhythms of their labor. They are the source of your freedom, your wealth. And they are the reason you check the locks on your doors at night. You are the mistress of all you survey, a ruler of a vast and productive kingdom. And you are a jailer, living in the most beautiful prison in all of Greece, forever watching the prisoners. Having settled the matters of the estate, you move from the open courtyard to an inner wing of the house. You leave the worries of men and labor behind and enter the domain of women. In any other city in Greece, this would be a step down, a retreat into domestic confinement. But this is Sparta, and here the rules are different. You enter the histon, the weaving room. It is a large, surprisingly bright space, with several upright looms standing like skeletal sentinels. The air is warm and smells of lanolin and dyed wool. 3 other women are already here, their hands moving with a practiced, hypnotic grace, transforming spools of thread into functional cloth. They are women of your rank, wives and mothers of powerful men. Their names are known throughout the city. Gorgo, whose husband is a member of the Gerousia. Telesilla, whose son is a champion of the games. And Phaeto, famously sharp-tongued and observant. They look up as you enter. There are no warm smiles, no effusive greetings. Such displays are childish. Instead, you receive what is far more valuable, a nod of respect, a silent acknowledgement of your presence and your standing. You are equals here. You are colleagues. You take your place at a vacant loom, where a servant has already laid out spools of crimson and black thread. You run a thread through your fingers. It is coarse, strong. It will not tear easily, like the women who weave it. You begin your work, your hands finding the familiar rhythm, your feet expertly working the pedals. Thump, 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 thump. The sound is the heartbeat of this room. This is a scene that would be familiar to any Greek. Women, weaving, a picture of domestic tranquility. What an exquisite lie. An Athenian would see this and think of home, of peace. You know the truth. This is not a room of craft. This is a war room, and the weapons here are words. The grain shipment from the port at Gyphio was delayed, Gorgo says, her eyes never leading her work. Her voice is casual. The ships were requisitioned. For drills, they said. Her statement hangs in the air, seemingly innocuous, but it is a carefully placed piece on the game board. Requisition ships, drills. The subtext is clear for all to hear. The Navy is preparing for something. A campaign may be imminent. Be ready. Telesilla, whose son is a champion and whose pride can sometimes make her careless, scoffs. More drills. The men play at war more than they fight it. My husband complains the boys in the agoge are being pushed to their limits. Says the instructors are being especially harsh on the sons of the Cleomenes line. Another piece is played. A warning this time. The Cleomenes family, a powerful clan, is falling out of favor. Their sons are being punished in training. It is a signal from the Ephors. Do not align yourself with that family. Their influence is waning. This is how information moves in Sparta. Not in the open debate of the Athenian assembly, but here in the coded language of women. You process this, storing it away. You in turn have your own move to make, your own piece of intelligence to offer, to show that you are informed, that you are a valuable node in this network. The Arcadians are growing bold, you say, your voice as measured as Gorgo's. Their merchants tried to sell me a faulty press stone today. At an insulting price, you let the statement settle. Phaeto, the observant one, stops her weaving for a fraction of a second. Bold or desperate? She asks, the question sharp as a needle. Desperate, you reply, giving a slight, meaningful emphasis to the word. Their wares are shoddy and their prices are high. A bad combination. The message is delivered. Arcadia, Sparta's longtime rival, is economically weak. Their desperation makes them unpredictable, but they are not a true threat. Do not waste state resources worrying about them. In the space of 3 simple exchanges, you have all discussed naval movements, the shifting political fortunes of a major family, and the economic state of a rival power, all while performing a task that the rest of Greece considers mindless domestic labor. The irony is so profound, it is almost a physical thing. You wield immense, indirect power from a room that other Greeks would see as your prison. You look at the tapestry taking shape on your loom. It is a classic Spartan design, a scene of hoplites in perfect phalanx formation, their shields interlocked, their spears bristling. A picture of order, strength, and masculine power. It is a lie, or at least it is only half the truth. The true strength of Sparta, the thing that holds it all together, is not just the bronze shields of its men. It is the invisible web of information, influence, and intelligence woven by its women. Here, with threads of wool, you weave the real fabric of power. You are the nation's spies, its analysts, its political advisors. You are the architects of the state, disguised as humble weavers. And no one, least of all the men you send to war, will ever truly understand it. The conversation in the room drifts, as it always does, from politics to land, from land to bloodlines. It is Phaedo, the observant one, who speaks next, her fingers not pausing for a moment in their intricate work. I hear the daughter of Eurytion is to be matched with the son of Charalaeus, she says, her voice neutral. The elders approve. A good match. Strong blood on both sides. Strong blood. The phrase hangs in the air. And for you, it is not just a piece of information. It is a key. It unlocks a door in your mind, a door you usually keep firmly barred. The rhythmic thump of the loom weights seems to fade, the voices of your companions becoming a distant echo. You are no longer in the weaving room. You are falling backward through time, into a dark room almost 2 decades ago. You were 18. In other cities, a girl of 18 would be an old maid. In Sparta, you were in your prime, strong, healthy, ready. Your father had told you of the match. Your family's bloodline, ancient and respected. His, younger, but distinguished by acts of valor. The state had approved. The union would be good for Sparta. That was all that mattered. There was no long courtship. There were no gifts exchanged. No sweet words whispered over a garden wall. Such things were Athenian nonsense. There was only the arrangement, and then the night. The memory begins with the sound of footsteps outside your family home. Heavy, male footsteps. They were not strangers, not invaders. They were his friends, his messmates. It was a ritual, the abduction, a performance of a warrior taking his prize. You knew they were coming. You had been waiting all evening, your heart a frantic drum against your ribs, a rhythm you could not allow your face to show. They entered, your father offering no resistance. You were bundled into a dark, heavy cloak that smelled of wine and sweat, and led out into the night. It was not a violent act, but it was an act of possession. You were no longer your father's daughter. You were now the property of a man you had only seen in passing at festivals. They did not take you to his home. He had no home. They took you to a small, windowless room belonging to a kinswoman. An older woman was there, her face a mask of grim purpose. She was the one who prepared you. She took the bronze shears first, and with a few quick, unceremonious cuts, your long hair, the dark, thick hair you had sometimes braided with ribbons in the privacy of your girlhood, was shorn from your head. It fell to the floor in a lifeless pile. Then came the razor. You remember the cold, scraping sensation against your scalp, the vulnerability of it. They shaved your head to the skin. Then she handed you the clothes. Not a beautiful wedding gown, but a man's short tunic and a pair of simple leather sandals. You were to be made less of a woman, so that the young man, raised his whole life in the harsh, all-male environment of the agoge, would not be startled or intimidated by your femininity. It was a curious, almost laughable logic. To fulfill your ultimate female duty, you first had to be unmade as a woman. You had to become a boy to receive a boy. The older woman left you there, alone in the near-total darkness, sitting on a simple straw pallet on the floor. A bride, waiting in a borrowed room, with a shaved head, dressed as a man. This was your wedding, a ceremony of shadows and whispers, a union not of two souls, but of two bloodlines, a transaction signed and sealed by the state. He came later. He slipped into the room like a thief. He was young, nervous, smelling faintly of the barracks. He did not speak your name. You did not speak his. There were no words. Words were for complicated things, for emotions, for negotiations. This was simple. It was a duty. The encounter was awkward, fumbling, a collision of two bodies tasked with a single purpose, the creation of a future soldier. It was an act of agriculture, not of love. His duty was to plant a seed. Your duty was to be fertile ground. And just as silently as he arrived, he was gone. Before the first hint of dawn, he slipped away, back to his barracks, back to his real life among the men. To be seen leaving your room would have brought him shame. You were left alone in the dark. You were now a wife. Thump, 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 thump. The sound of the loom brings you back to the present. You have not missed a single pass of the shuttle. Your hands have continued their work. A testament to a discipline so deep it functions even when your mind is decades away. Gorgo is now talking about the poor quality of some pottery from a northern village. The conversation has moved on. You look down at your hands, strong and capable, weaving the threads of crimson wool. The same hands that once touched a shaved head in a dark room, wondering what had just happened. That was the foundation of your life. A stolen night, a ritual of humiliation, and a duty fulfilled in silence. A perfect Spartan marriage, a memory you're supposed to cherish. The weaving is done. Information has been exchanged. Alliances subtly reinforced. Now, you need a reason to be seen in public. A purpose. It is a game you play every day. A woman of your station does not simply wander. She moves with intent. You decide a strap on your daughter's sandal is worn. A small, believable pretext. The best leather worker has his stall near the public square. And so, you leave the female world of your home and walk towards the beating, iron heart of Sparta. The walk itself is a statement. Your stride is long and confident, your posture perfect. You do not scurry along the walls head bowed like an Athenian wife. You walk in the center of the path. You meet the eyes of the men you pass. They are soldiers, magistrates, elders. To those of equal or higher station, you offer a slight respectful nod. To the others, you offer nothing. Your public face is a carefully calibrated instrument of social standing. You arrive at the edge of the agora. To call it a marketplace would be a gross insult. A marketplace is a place of chaos, of haggling, of frivolous goods. It is a place for Corinthians and their perfumes, for Ionians and their decadent pottery. The Spartan agora is different. It is an outdoor council chamber, a training ground, a stage for the relentless theater of power. Imposing bronze statues of forgotten kings and mythical heroes stare down with empty eyes, their stony gazes a permanent judgment on the living. On one side, the formidable building where the five Effers hold their authority. On the other, the meeting hall of the Gerusia, the Council of Elders. And all around, the air hums not with commerce, but with scrutiny. You begin your slow, deliberate walk across the square, your eyes seeing everything. While appearing to see nothing in particular, your pretext is the leather worker on the far side. Your real mission is espionage. Your first observation comes quickly. Near the statue of Lycurgus, the great lawgiver, stand two of the five Effers. You recognize them instantly. Their crimson cloaks are immaculate. They are in a low, intense conversation with a naval commander you know by sight. The commander is gesturing with his hands, a map drawn in the dirt at his feet. The Effers are not looking at the map. They are looking at the man's face, their expressions hard, impatient. There it is. Confirmation of what Gorgo said in the weaving room. The ships, the drills. This is not a routine exercise. This is urgent. Something is happening at sea, something that requires the direct attention of the city's most powerful men. You file the information away. Your path takes you past a dusty clearing where a platoon of boys from the Agote is being drilled. They are older, perhaps 14 or 15. Stripped to the waist, their bodies are lean and hard. Their instructor, a scarred veteran with a voice like grinding stones, is relentless. You see him circle the boys, his staff tapping against their legs, their backs, correcting their stance. Then you see it. One of the boys, you recognize his family resemblance to the Cleomenes clan, falters during a series of lunges. His form breaks for just a second. The instructor's staff whips around and strikes the boy hard across the back of his thighs. The boy stumbles, his face contorted in a silent grimace of pain. But he does not cry out. He immediately resumes the exercise. No one watching flinches. No one intervenes. It is a lesson for the boy, but it is also a public message. Telesilla's warning in the weaving room was true. The sons of the Cleomenes are being targeted. Their family star is falling. To associate with them now would be unwise. You finally reach the leatherworker's stall. He is a perioikos, a non-citizen craftsman, allowed to live and work here, but without political rights. He bows his head deeply as you approach. A leather strap, you say, your voice clear and direct. For a child's sandal, it must be strong. Yes, mistress, the best. He shows you a piece of thick, well-tanned leather. You test it, pulling it between your hands, feeling for any weakness. It is good work. You do not haggle. Haggling is a sign of attachment to material wealth, an un-Spartan trait. You pay the few obols he asks, take the strap, and give a curt nod. The entire transaction takes less than a minute. It is the only honest, straightforward exchange you have witnessed all morning. You turn and begin your walk home. Your mission complete. You have gathered more vital intelligence in a 15-minute walk across the square than an Athenian spy could gather in a month. You have read the subtle shifts in the political winds, confirmed rumors, and assessed the city's mood. Other Greek women are told what their husbands or fathers want them to believe. You are expected to see the world as it is, a remarkable freedom, and its only purpose is to make you a more effective asset, a more vigilant guardian for the system that owns you, body and soul. You are the eyes of your household, a spy hiding in plain sight. You have returned from the public square, your mind a ledger of new intelligence. The strap for your daughter's sandal, the official purpose of your journey, lies forgotten on a side table. Its mission was accomplished before you even reached the leather worker. Now another duty calls, a duty that in any other corner of Greece would be a source of pleasure of community, of rest, the midday meal. You do not enter a bustling kitchen filled with the aromatic scents of roasting meat or simmering herbs. Your home does not have a kitchen in that sense. It has a hearth, and it has stores. The preparation of the meal is not an art, it is an assembly. You and your daughters work together in practiced silence. A loaf of hard barley bread is brought from the larder, a wheel of sharp goat's cheese, a handful of dried figs, and the main course. The pride and terror of the Spartan table. You lift the lid from a heavy bronze pot that sits by the hearth, kept warm from the morning. A dark, pungent steam rises to meet you. Melis zomos, the black broth. The legend of this dish is known throughout Greece. It is said that a man from Sybaris, a city famous for its luxury, once tasted the broth and declared that he now understood why Spartans were so willing to die. No man in his right mind would want to live if this was what he had to eat. You ladle the thick, dark liquid into 3 simple clay bowls. It is a slurry of pork, salt, vinegar, and blood. Its color is a muddy, unappealing black-red. Its smell is sharp, metallic, and sour. It is the color of a battlefield after the fighting is done. It is the smell of a wound. To the rest of the world, it is poison. To you, it is virtue. You sit at the rough-hewn table with your 2 daughters, the 3 of you alone. Your husband, your brother, your father, all are at their public messes, eating the same fare, their meal a daily reaffirmation of their bond as soldiers. Your meal is a reaffirmation of your own, the bond of the women who support those soldiers. You eat. There is no conversation beyond what is necessary. The broth is salty, its texture thick. The barley bread is hard, and you must chew it with deliberate force. It scrapes the roof of your mouth. This is intentional. It is a reminder that even the act of eating requires effort, requires strength. Soft food is for soft people. You look out the narrow window. From here, you can see the rolling hills of your estate. You know the granaries are nearly full with last season's barley. You know the grapevines are heavy, promising a rich harvest for wine. You know your olive groves produce some of the finest oil in all of Laconia, a product so valuable it is practically currency. You are, by any measure, a woman of immense wealth, the manager of a small agricultural empire, and yet you sit here, eating a meal that the lowest paid mercenary in Athens would throw against a wall. The irony is so vast, so fundamental to your existence, you no longer even notice it. The wealth of your land is not for you. It is not for your comfort, not for your pleasure. The grain, the wine, the oil, it all flows to one place, the state. It feeds the army. It funds the campaigns. It maintains the machine. You and your children are just cogs in that machine. And this meal is not a meal. It is fuel. You are not dining. You are refueling. Lyra, you say, your voice breaking the disciplined silence. Your youngest daughter looks up, her mouth paused mid-chew. Why is our broth not seasoned with the herbs from the hillside? You ask. It is a test. She thinks for a moment, her small face serious. Because flavor is a distraction, mother. It teaches the tongue to be greedy. A greedy tongue leads to a greedy heart. And a greedy heart, you prompt. A greedy heart is a traitor to Sparta. You nod. She has learned the lesson well. You have successfully taught your own child to be suspicious of pleasure, to find moral value in a lack of flavor. You are raising her to embrace deprivation, to see austerity as a mark of strength. You are teaching her to build her own prison and call it a fortress. It is your greatest success as a mother. It is your most profound tragedy. You all finish your meal. The bowls are scraped clean, not because the food was delicious, but because waste is a crime. Every last drop of fuel must be consumed. The meal is over. No one lingers. There are no satisfied sighs. There is only the quiet efficiency of clearing the bowls away, of moving on to the next task. You are nourished, but you are not sated. And that is the entire point. A Spartan must always be a little hungry, a little bit wanting. A sated citizen is a complacent citizen. And in Sparta, complacency is just another word for death. The bowls are cleared. The table is wiped clean. The midday meal, an exercise in function over feeling, is complete. Your daughters sit before you, their postures straight, their hands folded in their laps. Their bodies have been fueled. Now, you must attend to their spirits. In Sparta, the spirit is not nurtured with songs or poetry. It is fortified with steel. It is tempered in a fire of brutal logic. You look at your two girls, their faces so young, their eyes so serious, and you see not children, but apprentices. Apprentices in the art of being Spartan. You have eaten, you begin, your voice calm and low, filling the quiet room. Your bodies are stronger for it. But that strength is useless, a hollow reed, if the mind that commands it is weak. Kaniska, you say, addressing your elder daughter. What is the greatest crime a Spartan can commit? She meets your gaze without blinking. Cowardice in battle, mother. No, you counter softly. That is the result. That is the final public shame. But the crime itself, the seed of that shame, is much simpler. The greatest crime is to be discovered. A flicker of understanding crosses their faces. They know you are not speaking of simple hide and seek. You are preparing them for a story. Their bodies lean forward almost imperceptibly. This is the Spartan version of a fairy tale. There are no magical beasts or handsome princes. There is only a boy, a fox, and a lesson written in blood. There was a boy, you begin, not much older than you, Kaniska. He was a member of the Agogi, like your brother. He was hungry, as all the boys are kept hungry, to make them cunning and resourceful. He managed, with great skill, to steal a live fox from a farmer's trap, intending to kill and eat it later in secret. He hid the small animal under his tunic, holding it tight against his body as he made his way back to the barracks. You pause, letting the image form in their minds. The boy, his heart pounding with triumph, the warm, struggling body of the fox, a secret heat against his skin. But on his way, you continue, he was confronted by some of the older youths. They suspected him of theft. They gathered around him, their questions sharp, their eyes searching for any sign of guilt. The boy knew the rule. The crime was not in the stealing. The crime was in being caught. So he stood straight. He looked them in the eye and denied everything. His voice was steady. His face was a mask of innocence. He did not flinch. There, your voice drops even lower, becoming almost a whisper. But the fox, trapped beneath his tunic, began to panic. It was a wild thing, terrified. It began to claw and bite, tearing at the boy's skin, trying to burrow its way out. The boy did not move. He did not cry out. He did not allow a single flicker of pain to cross his face as the animal's teeth and claws ripped into his stomach. He continued to speak with the older boys, answering their questions calmly. He felt the fox's sharp teeth sink deeper, felt the warm gush of his own blood soaking the inside of his tunic. He felt his insides being torn apart, and he did not make a sound. Eventually, the older boys, satisfied with his composure, let him go. The boy walked away, his stride even, his face a perfect picture of calm. He walked behind the barracks, out of sight, and there he fell to the ground and died. You let the silence hang in the room. Your daughter's eyes are wide, but not with horror, with awe. When they found him, you conclude, the dead fox was still clutched in his arms. nestled in the bloody ruin of his stomach. He had not let it go. He had not been discovered. You look at your children. You have just told them a story of grotesque self-mutilation, of a child choosing a gruesome, agonizing death over the shame of being caught. In any other culture, this would be a horror story, a cautionary tale about the madness of pride. In Sparta, it is a story of a hero. Lyra, you ask your youngest, what is the lesson? That pain is a feeling, she recites, her voice like a well-drilled soldier. And feelings can be ignored. Honor cannot. And you, Kiniska? He protected his reputation, she adds, her voice full of admiration for the dead boy. He did not bring shame upon himself or his messmates. He died as a Spartan should, in silence. You nod slowly. The word feels like a stone in your mouth. You have just affirmed this brutal lesson. You have planted a seed of beautiful, terrible poison in the fertile ground of their minds. You have taught them that their own bodies, their own pain, are secondary to the opinion of others. You are teaching them how to die, long before they have truly learned how to live. This is your sacred duty as a mother, to teach your children to value the mask more than the face, the reputation more than the reality. It is the most important lesson Sparta has to offer. And it is, of course, the most profound lie. The lesson of the fox hangs in the air, a chilling testament to the values you have just reinforced. Your daughters are silent, contemplating the brutal ideal of the boy who chose disembowelment over shame. You are about to dismiss them to their afternoon chores when a shadow falls across the open doorway of your home. The light is blocked by a tall, lean figure. Instinct, honed by a lifetime of discipline, takes over. You rise in a single, smooth motion, your body rigid, your head bowed in respect. Your daughters, mirroring you perfectly, do the same. In your doorway stands Teleclus, an elder of the Gerutia. He is nearly 80 years old, but he holds himself with the ramrod straightness of a young hoplite. He is one of the 30 men, including the 2 kings, who form the Supreme Council of Sparta. His power is immense, almost absolute. He has served on the council for nearly 2 decades. His vote can send armies to war, exile kings, and condemn men to death. His presence in your modest home is as shocking and significant as a lightning strike from a clear sky. He carries a simple staff of olive wood, but he leans on it not for support, but as a symbol of his authority. His face is a landscape of deep wrinkles, carved by 1,000 campaigns and 1,000 political battles. His eyes, however, are not faded with age. They are a pale, piercing gray, and they miss nothing. Mistress, he says. His voice is a dry rasp, like stones scraping together. It is not unkind, but it is utterly devoid of warmth. Elder, you reply. Your own voice, carefully neutral. My home is honored by your presence. Will you take water? He gives a curt nod and steps inside, his gaze sweeping across the room. You feel his eyes linger for a moment on the hearth, the simple furniture, your daughters. It is not a glance, it is an appraisal, an audit. He is assessing the efficiency and propriety of your household with a single, all-encompassing look. You are being weighed and measured. He takes the simple wooden stool you offer, and your eldest, Kyniska, moves silently to fetch him a cup of water. He accepts it, taking a small sip, his eyes never leaving you. The silence stretches, thick with unspoken meaning. In Sparta, a man like Teleclus never does anything without a reason. A casual visit is a concept as foreign as mercy. This is a test. He turns his gaze to Kyniska as she retreats. The elder daughter of Praxis, he states, not asking. She has your eyes. And her father's posture. Has she begun her advanced training? She has, elder. She shows great aptitude with the javelin. Good, he says, the word clipped. Aptitude is useful, but discipline is essential. Girl, he calls out, his voice suddenly sharp. Kyniska, who was moving away, freezes and turns to face him. Your great-grandfather fought at the Battle of the 300 Champions against the Argives. Tell me, what was the tactical error that cost the Argive champion his life? The question is a razor. It is a test of her knowledge, her composure, her bloodline. You hold your breath, not in fear that she doesn't know. You have drilled her on this 100 times, but in fear of a single moment of hesitation. Kyniska does not hesitate. The Argive champion Athriades raised his shield too high to protect his head from an overhead blow, exposing his lower ribs. She answers, her voice clear and steady. The Spartan champion, a man of my ancestors' company, ignored the head and thrust his spear upwards under the shield. He valued the kill more than the heroic posture. Teleclus stares at her for a long moment, a faint, almost imperceptible nod. He valued the result, a true Spartan lesson. See that you remember it. He dismisses her with a wave of his hand. She bows and retreats. You feel a small, cold knot of relief in your stomach. She has passed. His gray eyes now fall upon your younger daughter, Lyra, who stands perfectly still. The second, he muses, looking her over as a horse trainer would inspect a new foal. She has a good frame, strong legs. She will bear fine sons for the state. He speaks of your daughter's future, of her body and its purpose, as if she were a plot of land to be assessed for its fertility. It is the highest compliment he can give. It is the most dehumanizing statement you have ever heard. You want to pull Lyra behind you, to shield her from this cold, calculating gaze, but you do not. You stand still. You incline your head in thanks. Finally, his full attention settles on you. Your husband brought great honor to his family and to Sparta in the recent campaign against the Messenians, he says. The state was pleased with his performance. Is his household running as efficiently in his absence? This is the final question. The true purpose of his visit. He is not here to test your children for his amusement. He is here to ensure that the foundation of a great soldier, his home, his estate, his wife, is solid. A Spartan's life is a tripod. His messmates, his own skill at arms, and the stability of his household. If one leg is weak, the whole structure can collapse. The harvests are strong, Elda, you reply, your voice a perfect blend of humility and confidence. The helots are managed. The budget is sound. My husband's house is in order, awaiting his return. He stares at you, his eyes searching your face for any sign of deceit, of weakness, of complaint. He finds none. Your face is a placid lake, revealing nothing of the swirling currents of fear and resentment beneath. He rises from the stool. Good, he says again, and then he turns and leaves. No farewells, no parting words. His presence is simply withdrawn, leaving a vacuum in the room. You finally let out a breath you did not realize you had been holding. Your daughters look at you, their faces pale. You have all been judged, and you have been found sufficient. The relief you feel is cold and sharp. It is the relief of a soldier who has passed a random inspection by a senior officer and has not been found wanting. It is the relief of knowing you have survived. For now, in Sparta, you are always on patrol, and the enemy is everywhere. The tension from the elder's visit slowly dissolves from the air in the room, like frost melting in the morning sun. You have resumed a simple task, showing your daughters the proper way to oil and polish a leather strap. When a new presence makes the fine hairs on your arms stand up, you do not need to look. You know his scent. It is the scent of the barracks, old leather, metal, wine, and the faint, ever-present smell of male sweat. You turn slowly. Your husband, Praxis, stands in the doorway. He has the same dark hair as your eldest daughter, but that is where the resemblance ends. His face is a mask of disciplined severity, his jaw tight, his eyes always seeming to look past you at some distant horizon. His body is a tool of war, thick with muscle and corded with sinew, a landscape of pale, thin scars that tell the stories of past campaigns. He is a stranger who shares your children. Your daughters stand and offer him the same respectful, silent bow they offered the elder, not the joyous cry of father that would echo in an Athenian home. They know better. He is not their father, not in that way. He is their commander's superior officer. He nods at them once, a curt, dismissive gesture. His eyes meet yours. I have leave until the morning horn, he says. His voice is a low rumble, a statement of fact, not an invitation. There is no embrace. There is no kiss. There is no question of how your day has been. Such things are a foreign language you both have agreed never to learn. He is here, and you both understand the purpose of the visit. But first, the rituals of the household must be observed. The inspection must be made. He walks through the main room, his heavy sandals loud on the stone floor. He is a disruptive presence in the quiet, female-ordered world of the home. He picks up a clay cup, inspects it for cracks, and puts it down. He glances at the stores of grain visible through an open door. He is not looking at his home. He is assessing his base of operations. The elder Teleclus was here, you inform him. It is your duty to report such a significant event. His back is to you, but you see his shoulders tense slightly. And he tested Kaniska on the battle tactics of the champions. She answered correctly. He commented on Lyra's frame. He asked if the estate was being managed efficiently. I assured him it was. Praxis turns to you. You gave him no reason to find fault. The question is sharp, an accusation lying in wait. The irony is bitter. He is not asking if you were well treated. He is asking if you compromised his position, if your performance was adequate. I gave him no reason, you reply, your voice a flat, level stone. He seems satisfied with that. Good. The conversation, if it can be called that, moves to logistics. It is the only language you truly share. The harvest of the North Field begins at dawn, you report. I have moved the helot teams from the olive groves. The oil can wait. The grain is for the army's stores. The pressed stone for the olives has cracked. I have sent men to the quarry. The Arcadians offered to sell us one, but I refused their price. Their price is always an insult, he grunts, a flicker of approval in his eyes. To be shrewd with the estate's resources is a virtue. The helot boy who stole the wine? 10 lashes. It was done this evening. Sufficient, he says. This is your conversation. A series of reports, of updates, a business meeting between two managers of a state-sanctioned enterprise, the House of Praxis. The product you are creating is not just grain and oil, but stability, reputation, and, most importantly, children. As dusk settles, a deeper silence falls over the house. You dismiss your daughters to their room. They go without protest. They know this part of the ritual too. You and your husband are left alone. The air grows thick with unspoken purpose. He is not a man who has come home to his wife. He is a soldier with an assignment. Later, in the darkness of your chamber, the duty is performed. The act is as silent and efficient as everything else in your lives. It is a collision of two bodies, a grim transaction in the dark. There is no tenderness, no passion. Those things are unpredictable, dangerous. This is a controlled, biological imperative. He is fulfilling his obligation to his bloodline. You are fulfilling your obligation to the state. His body is hard, unfamiliar, an instrument focused on its task. Your own body is a vessel, a plot of fertile ground to be seeded. You stare up into the darkness, your mind a perfect blank, your face a mask, even the shadows cannot read. You feel nothing but the cold air on your skin and the weight of the man above you. Long before the first hint of dawn, you are woken by the sound of him rising. You do not open your eyes. You listen to him dress in the dark. The slide of the tunic over his head, the scrape of the bronze greaves, the final thud of his sandals on the floor. He does not touch you. He does not whisper a farewell. He simply leaves. A ghost slipping out of your house to return to his real home, the barracks. To be seen leaving your bed in the morning would be a mark of indulgence, a sign that he prefers the softness of a wife to the hardness of a warrior's life. You are left alone again in the cold bed, the faint scent of him already fading from the air. He has done his duty. You have done yours. Another potential soldier for Sparta may now be growing in your womb. The state has been served. The house is silent again, and you are not sure which silence feels more empty, the one before he arrived, or the one he has left behind. The days following your husband's visit fall into their familiar, rigid rhythm. You oversee the harvest. You manage the household. You instruct your daughters. You weave with the other women. The surface of your life is a placid lake of duty and routine, but underneath, the currents have changed. His presence was a stone dropped into that lake, and the ripples are now reaching the shore. You had told yourself his visit was a matter of course, a scheduled duty. But you are a Spartan woman. You have been trained to read the silences, to find the meaning between the lines. His visit was not routine. It was a signal. And now the city itself begins to whisper the same message. The whispers are not in words. Words are for the weak, the uncertain. Sparta speaks in actions. The sound of the city changes first. The rhythmic clang from the blacksmith's forges near the agora becomes more insistent, a frantic, percussive beat that lasts from dawn until dusk. They are not making new plowshares or mending household tools. You know that sound. It is the sound of spearheads being sharpened, of dents being hammered out of bronze shields, of helmets being relined. It is the sound of preparation for violence. The drills of the men in the public fields become more intense. The shouts of the instructors are sharper, the movements of the phalanx more brutal. They are no longer just practicing formations. They are hardening their bodies and minds for the shock of real combat. They move with a grim, lethal efficiency that has only one purpose. For Sparta, peace is not an absence of war. It is simply the sharpening of the spear. You see the signs everywhere. You see Gorgo, the wife of the Garcia elder, pass her husband his helmet as he leaves for the council meeting. She runs a hand over it, not as a caress, but as an inspection, checking the integrity of the bronze. It is a quiet, domestic moment, but it is as clear as a declaration of war. You visit the weaving room again. The atmosphere is different now. The coded language has become even more oblique, the subtext heavier. They no longer speak of distant naval movements. They speak of practicalities. The price of crimson dye has risen, Fido remarks, her fingers working deftly. The merchants say the demand is high. She means there is a need for new cloaks for new soldiers. A campaign will mean casualties, and the fallen must be replaced. The wool from the Messenian border is of poor quality this season, Telesilla adds, a note of disdain in her voice. It is thin and frays easily. She is not critiquing shepherds. She is assessing a potential enemy. The Messenians are weak. Their resources are poor. If the campaign is against them, it will be swift. Every conversation is a calculation of logistics, a quiet assessment of readiness. They're all quartermasters now, planning a war from their looms. And with this growing certainty, the memory of your husband's visit shifts in your mind. It is no longer just a cold, transactional duty. It was a finality. It was the act of a man ensuring his bloodline might continue, even if he did not. He was not just performing a duty to the state. He was making a final wager against his own death. The thought settles in your stomach, a cold, heavy stone. The entire encounter, his silence, his efficiency, his abrupt departure, it was all a farewell disguised as a duty, the most Spartan farewell imaginable. One afternoon, you see Telesilla in the square. Her son, the champion of the games, stands nearby with other young men, their laughter loud and confident. They are beautiful and terrifying, a pack of young lions, unaware they are about to be unleashed. Telesilla catches your eye. You are 20 paces apart. You both stop. No words are exchanged. There is no gesture. There is only a look, a shared, silent acknowledgement that passes between you. In her eyes, you see the same knowledge you hold in your own heart. A terrible, silent understanding. Our men, our sons, they will be marching soon. In that single, fleeting moment, you share a bond of dread that is more real and more intimate than any conversation. Then you both give a slight, almost imperceptible nod and continue on your way. You do not need to speak of it. To speak of it would be to admit the existence of fear, of anxiety, and that is a crime. So you all participate in this grand, silent conspiracy, this collective pretense that the world is not about to be set on fire. You return to your estate as evening falls. You stand in the courtyard and look towards the jagged peaks of the Taygetus Mountains, the direction the army will march. The air is still and cool, but it vibrates with a silent, unseen energy. It is the feeling of 1,000 spears being sharpened, the feeling of 1,000 goodbyes unsaid. No one has told you there is a war coming. No one has to. The men prepare their bodies for battle. You and all the other women of Sparta must now prepare your souls for the news that will follow. It is the most vital preparation of all, and it must be done in silence. The unspoken tension continues to build across Sparta for days. It is a strange, shared fever dream. Every citizen is an actor in a grand play, pretending that life is normal, while the set is being quietly dismantled for a war scene just behind the curtain. You manage your estate, you instruct your daughters, you perform your duties with a calm, almost placid efficiency. Your mask is flawless. Then, one afternoon, someone attempts to rip it from your face. It is a visit, unannounced, unscheduled. This itself is a breach of the unspoken protocol. A woman from a neighboring estate, whose land borders your northern pastures, appears at your door. Her name is Cressa. Her husband is a man of respectable but not exceptional standing, and her son is a new member of your husband's Syssitia. You let her in. The moment she steps into the cool dimness of your home, you know something is wrong. Her peplos is slightly askew. Her hands tremble, twisting a loose thread at her waist. But it is her eyes that betray her. They are wide, filled with a raw, naked panic. She looks like a spooked horse. She looks weak. And weakness is a contagion. "Forgive my intrusion," she begins, her voice a little too loud, a little too high. She does not meet your eyes. I was walking. The air. She trails off, unable to maintain the pretense. You do not help her. You do not offer a comforting word or a polite fiction to hide behind. You simply wait, your face a calm, questioning blank. You are forcing her to name her purpose, to expose her own breach of discipline. "Have you seen them?" she whispers, stepping closer. "Down at the armory?" They are working day and night. Day and night. My Dion, my son, he came to see me yesterday. He tried to be brave, but I saw it in his eyes. He has never seen a real battle. He's still just a boy. The words hang in the air, sickeningly sweet with emotion. Boy, brave, saw it in his eyes. It is the language of an Athenian mother, sentimental and soft. She is speaking of fear. She is speaking of love. She is speaking of everything you have all silently agreed must never be spoken of. She is looking at you now, her eyes pleading. She is not just venting her fear. She is seeking validation for it. She wants you to nod, to agree, to whisper back, I know, I am frightened too. She wants you to form a conspiracy of two against the crushing weight of Spartan expectation. She wants you to be her sister in weakness. To agree with her would be a moment of shared humanity. It would also be treason. Oh, you let the silence stretch after she finishes. You let her words, her panic, her weakness, echo in the stillness of your home. You let her feel the full weight of her transgression. Your own heart feels like a cold stone in your chest. You feel a flicker of something. Is it pity? You crush it instantly. Pity is a poison. When you finally speak, your voice is not angry. It is far worse. It is low, calm, and laced with a terrifying, surgical disappointment. Your son, you begin, your voice slicing through her hope, is not a boy. He is a Spartiate. He is a member of my husband's mess. He has been training for this moment since he could walk. To call him a boy is to insult the years of labor the state has invested in him. It is to insult his father. It is to insult him. Cressa flinches as if you had struck her. And you continue, your gaze unblinking, are the wife of a Spartan, not some whimpering helot girl who fears the sound of a raised voice. The state has granted you the supreme honor of providing a son for its defense. Are you now telling me that this honor is a burden? No, I did not mean, she stammers, her face paling. What did you mean, Cressa? You press, your voice relentlessly calm. Did you mean to come into my home and display this anxiety? This is my house. The house of praxis, a house of soldiers. It is not a place for fear. Your fear is a private matter. If you cannot control it, that is a flaw in your own character. But to bring it here, to attempt to infect my household with it, that is an offense. You take a step closer, your presence towering over her now. Leave my home, and do not think of returning until you can remember who you are. The last vestiges of her composure crumble. A single traitorous tear escapes her eye and rolls down her cheek. It is a sight so obscene, so profoundly un-Spartan, that you almost look away. She turns and flees your home, without another word, a creature shamed and broken. You stand alone in the sudden silence. You have done your duty. You have protected the sanctity of your home from the contagion of fear. You have cauterized a wound in the community's emotional armor. You have reminded your neighbor of the rules. You have acted as a true Spartan woman, and your hands are trembling. You look down at them, furious at their betrayal. You clench them into fists until your knuckles are white, forcing the tremor to stop. You had to become a monster to enforce the rules. You had to savage another woman who is enduring the exact same silent terror as you are. You have won. You have upheld the code. And in doing so, you have taken a piece of her humanity and a piece of your own, and sacrificed them both on the cold, unyielding altar of the state. It is a lonely, thankless job, being a keeper of your sister's cage. The city feels like a drum, its skin pulled taut to the breaking point. The 2 days since your confrontation with Cressa have been marked by a strained, artificial calm. The work of the estate continues. The lessons for your daughters proceed. But underneath it all, a silent, frantic countdown is taking place in your mind. Every meal, every sunset, every routine task is tinged with a sense of finality. You are living in the last moments of peace, a peace that feels more fragile than a spider's web. You are in the public square again. Your pretext this time is to inspect the bronze clasps a smith has made for a new chest. It is a flimsy excuse. You know this. You are not here as a manager. You are here as a watchman. Your senses tuned to the city's nervous system, waiting for the tremor that will signal the earthquake. And then it comes. It is not a loud noise. It is the opposite. It is a sound that announces its own importance by subtracting from the world. A single, piercing blast from a horn on the southern watchtower. It is not the familiar call for a drill, nor the signal for a change of the guard. It is a high, sustained note that hangs in the air, a command for silence. And silence is what it gets. Instantly, the city obeys. The blacksmith's hammer stops mid-swing, leaving an echo hanging in the air. The shouts of the drill instructors die in their throats. The low hum of conversation ceases. Every single person in the agora freezes, their heads turning as one, like iron filings aligning to a magnet. They all turn south, towards the main road. The world holds its breath. And in the sudden, profound vacuum of sound, you can hear it. A new rhythm. Thump, thump, thump. It is the sound of a single pair of bare feet hitting the hard-packed earth with a relentless, punishing cadence. You see him first as a speck in the distance, a shimmer of heat and motion on the horizon, but the speck grows with an unnatural speed. It resolves into the shape of a man, a runner. He is stripped to a loincloth, his body lean, corded with muscle, and caped in a pale dust that makes him look like a moving statue. His face is a mask of pure, agonizing focus. His eyes are fixed on a point beyond you, a point in the very center of the city. He is not just a messenger. He is the message. The crowd in the square parts for him, instinctively, creating a wide, silent corridor. No one speaks. No one moves. They just watch, their faces the familiar Spartan masks of impassive stone. But their stillness is a scream. It is a more profound reaction than any cry of panic could ever be. You too are frozen, the bronze clasps forgotten in your hand. Your heart, which you command with such iron discipline, has betrayed you. It hammers against your ribs, a frantic, trapped bird. The runner enters the square. The sound of his feet on the stone flags is a series of hard, sharp slaps. You can see the sweat glistening on his skin, cutting clean channels through the dust. You can see the raw, chafed skin on his shoulders where a message tube might have been slung. He is not running with the explosive energy of a sprinter. He is running with the grim, metabolic efficiency of a wolf, a pace designed to consume miles, to outlast pain, to defy the limits of the body. He is a living weapon, and his target is the heart of your city. Your mind, a cold and practiced calculator, connects the signs. The ships at Githio, the Effor's urgent meeting, the hushed, coded talk in the weaving room, your husband's visit, Cressa's pathetic, tear-streaked face. It was all a prelude to the single running figure. He is the answer to a question everyone has been silently asking. He does not slow as he approaches the center of the agora. His destination is clear. He is not running towards the public notice board or the open space where a herald would make an announcement. He runs directly, unswervingly, towards the austere stone building of the Ephors. The message he carries is not for the public. It is a command for the kings. He takes the shallow steps of the building, two at a time, a pair of guards at the door, who had been as still as the statues beside them, suddenly move, their spears shifting to bar his path. The runner does not stop to catch his breath. He pulls a slim, sealed bronze tube from a pouch at his waist and holds it out. One of the guards takes it, gives the runner a long, assessing look, and disappears inside. The runner remains on the steps, his body now trembling with the aftershocks of his immense effort, his chest heaving, but he stands at rigid attention. His gaze fixed forward. His part is done. The message has been delivered. A slow, collective sigh seems to pass through the frozen crowd. The spell is broken. People begin to move again, but their movements are different. They are slower, more deliberate, weighed down by a new certainty. The waiting is the hardest part, the other Greeks say. The ones who indulge in hope. They are wrong. You know the truth. The waiting is a shield. It is a space that allows for the luxury of doubt. Now, the waiting is over. Certainty has arrived. And it is a quiet, brutal thing. The city is still silent, but it is a new kind of silence. It is not the silence of anticipation. It is the silence of a held breath, right before the blade falls. The runner has vanished into the E4's building, but he has left a ghost behind, a ghost of certainty. The silence in the square changes from one of tense anticipation to one of profound, solemn waiting. You, like everyone else, do not move. You do not speak. You simply wait. You have been trained for this your entire life. This quiet, disciplined endurance. This is the true art of being Spartan. The wait is not long. The state is an efficient machine. The heavy bronze doors of the building swing open again. It is not the runner who emerges, but one of the E4s himself, a man named Kilon, known for his stern demeanor and his unyielding devotion to the law. He walks to the top of the steps, his crimson cloak a slash of blood against the pale stone. He holds no scroll. He needs no notes. The will of Sparta is not something one reads. It is something one declares. A horn sounds again, a single sharp blast that calls for absolute attention. The last vestiges of movement in the square cease. Kilon begins to speak. His voice is not emotional. It is not designed to stir patriotic fervor. That is the way of demagogues and actors in Athens. His voice is a tool, a hammer, driving the nails of state policy into the public consciousness. Spartiates, he begins, his voice carrying across the silent square. The insolence of the Arcadian tyrant of Tegea has gone unanswered for too long. He has violated the sacred oaths of our alliance. He has raided lands under Spartan protection. He has mistaken our patience for weakness. You listen to the words, the familiar formal language of justification. Insolence, violated oaths, patience. They are smooth, polished stones, designed to build a foundation of righteousness for the violence that is to come. He is not talking about war. He is talking about restoring order. He is framing the coming bloodshed as a necessary act of civic hygiene. This dishonor can no longer be borne, Chalon continues, his voice hardening. To protect our allies, to uphold the treaties that are the bedrock of the Peloponnese, and to remind our rivals of the price of Spartan anger. The Gerousia, with the full assent of the kings, has decreed a course of action. Here it comes, the shift from justification to command. The air grows so still, so tight, it feels as if it might crack. By decree of the Ephors, he declares, his voice now ringing with absolute authority. The 1st and 2nd battalions of the army are hereby mobilized. All Spartiates of fighting age belonging to the hoplite regiments of Pitana, Messoa, Limni, and Kynasura are to assemble at the western gate at dawn in 3 days' time. You will assemble in full battle armor, prepared for a long campaign into the Arcadian highlands. He lists the regiments. The names fall like hammer blows on the silence. Limni, the name of your husband's regiment. The word does not explode in your mind. It does not cause a rush of panic. Instead, it lands with a quiet, devastating weight, like a heavy stone dropped into a deep well. You feel the impact in the pit of your stomach, a cold, sickening plunge. You scan the crowd, your face an unmoving mask. You see Telesilla, standing near a statue of Heracles. Her son is in the Kynosora regiment. Her face is pale, but her chin is high. You see other women, wives and mothers of men in the named battalions. They all wear the same expression, a mixture of grim pride and absolute resolve. It's a face you have seen your entire life. It is the face you are wearing now. There are no screams, no tears. That would be an unthinkable disgrace. In Sparta, the reaction to a declaration of war is a silent, collective squaring of the shoulders. It is the quiet, terrible harmony of 1,000 individual wills instantly aligning with the will of the state. It's the most impressive and most horrifying thing you have ever seen. The effort is still speaking, detailing logistics, but you no longer hear the words. You hear their translation. He says, "Uphold our treaties," and you hear, "Your husband will sleep in the mud." He says, "The price of anger," and you hear, "Your daughters may become orphans." He says, "For the glory of Sparta," and you hear, "Your home will be one of many that will fall silent." The grand abstract justifications of the state crumble into the small, terrifying realities of your own life. You remember your husband in your bed just nights ago, his body a warm, solid presence in the dark, a presence you took for granted, like the mountains or the sun. Now, you understand that he, too, is just an asset being deployed, a spear being taken from the armory, to be used, and perhaps to be broken. The Ephor finishes speaking, turns without another word, and disappears back into the building. The decree has been made. It is done. For a long moment, the city remains frozen. Then, slowly, life resumes. But it is a different life now. The crowd begins to disperse, not with idle chatter, but with a new, grim purpose. Men walk away with a determined stride, heading for their homes to inspect their armor. Women turn to go, their minds already calculating the new household realities, the new duties, the new vigils. You turn to go home. The message has been delivered to the city, but it is you, the women, who have truly received it. It has bypassed your ears and settled directly in your heart, a cold, heavy stone. And you will have to learn to live with its weight. The Ephor is gone. The crowd is dissolving. The decree hangs in the air, an invisible poison that has infected every citizen. Now comes the next test, a test more subtle and in many ways more difficult than any that has come before, the walk home. You turn from the square, your errand to the leatherworker completely forgotten. The small strap of leather is clenched tightly in your fist. You begin to walk, forcing a smoothness, a purposefulness into your stride that you do not feel. Your heart is a frantic bird beating against the cage of your ribs, but your legs must move with the steady, measured pace of a woman untroubled by the fate of the world. Every step is a performance. The agora is a stage, and now the streets of Sparta are you a theater, and your audience is everywhere. You are being watched. You know this. Every Spartan is always watching every other Spartan. It is the foundation of your collective discipline. Today, the scrutiny is magnified. You are now the wife of a mobilized soldier. You are a symbol, a living piece of state propaganda, and your performance must be flawless. You pass a group of Gerousia elders, the same men who hold your husband's life in their hands. They are speaking in low, serious tones, but their ancient eyes flicker towards you as you approach. You do not falter. You meet their gaze, incline your head in the precise angle of respect due to their station, and continue on. You feel their eyes on your back as you walk away, judging your posture, your gait, your composure. You have passed their inspection. Further on, you see Cressa, the woman you shamed in your own home just days ago. She is standing by her own door, her face pale and drawn. Her son, too, is in one of the named regiments. She sees you. Her eyes, once filled with a panicked plea, are now hollow with a dawning, horrified understanding. She finally understands the reason for your cruelty. She sees now that your coldness was not an attack, but a lesson. A lesson she failed. You do not acknowledge her. You look right through her, your face a mask of serene indifference. To offer her a look of pity now would be to mock her. To offer a look of shared understanding would be to admit your own weakness. The kindest thing you can do is to pretend she does not exist. As you walk, your mind, a tool you have sharpened over a lifetime, begins to work. It systematically pushes aside the rising tide of fear and begins to break down the situation into a list of tasks. It is the only way to maintain control. 3 days. You have 3 days. His armor must be inspected. His reserve cloak needs to be checked. Rations for his pack. She turns her fear into a checklist. It is the only way to manage it. A fleeting, dangerous memory might surface. Her husband teaching their son how to hold a small wooden practice sword. A memory of a family that is about to be broken. She has to force the memory down, swallow it like bile. She thinks about the lie she must now live. For weeks, months, maybe years. She must wake up every day and perform this role of the proud, untroubled Spartan wife, waiting for news that could shatter her world. The familiar sights of your street look different now. Alien. The crimson cloaks of the men you pass seem impossibly bright, the color of fresh blood. The laughter of 2 small children chasing a hoop down the path sounds jarring, out of place. How can there be laughter in a city that has just received its death sentence? You realize the truth. Strength in Sparta is not the absence of fear. It is the ability to create a perfect, convincing lie that it does not exist. Your calm face is a lie. Your steady walk is a lie. Your entire public self is a lie, a carefully constructed fortress designed to hide the terrified human being within. You finally reach the door to your home, your sanctuary. You place a hand on the rough, familiar wood. For a moment, you pause. You are about to step from the public stage into the private chamber where the performance can, in theory, be dropped. But you hesitate. You understand a profound truth in this moment. The mask you wear for the world, for the elders, for your neighbors, it cannot be taken off. Not anymore. If you allow yourself to remove it, to crumble even for a moment in the privacy of your own home, you may never find the strength to put it back on again. You take a slow, deep breath, not of relief, but of preparation. You push the door open and step inside. You are home. You are safe, and your performance has only just begun. You close the door to your home, and the sounds of the city are shut out. You are left with the silence you have cultivated, the austere emptiness of your own domain. But it is no longer a neutral silence. It is now charged with the news you carry, a living, breathing entity in the room with you. Your daughters are there. They were waiting. They had stopped their chores, their small figures still and watchful. They are not children waiting for their mother to return. They are soldiers waiting for a report from their commanding officer. They have seen your face, the rigid set of your jaw. They know you have come from the agora. They know what the horn blast meant. They do not know the details, but they know the world has changed. You do not offer them a reassuring smile. You do not rush to them with a comforting embrace. You are a Spartan mother. Your duty is not to shield them from the harshness of reality. Your duty is to teach them how to stand unshaken as it washes over them. You beckon them to the center of the room. They come, their movements precise, their faces serious. They sit on the floor before you, their backs straight, their eyes fixed on your face. They are ready for their lesson. Before you deliver the news, you must first frame it. You must place it within the great, unyielding structure of Spartan ideology. To give them the raw fact without the armature of duty would be a form of cruelty. Kiniska, you begin, your voice even. What is the greatest honor a Spartan man can achieve? Your elder daughter does not hesitate. Her training is a part of her, as natural as breathing. To die in battle, facing the enemy, for the glory and protection of Sparta, mother. The words are a recitation, learned by heart, but spoken with a chilling conviction. Correct, you say. And what, then, is the highest honor for his wife, for his daughters? This question is harder. It is the other side of the spear. Lyra, your younger, looks down at her hands, but Kaniska's gaze is steady. To hear the news of his glorious death, she says, her voice clear, and to show nothing but pride that he has fulfilled his purpose. Fulfilled his purpose. The words are so clean, so absolute. They erase the man, the father, the husband, and leave only the soldier, the functionary. The lesson has taken root. They are ready. The state has called upon your father, you announce. You deliver the information as the ephor did, as a formal declaration. His regiment, the Locos of Limni, has been mobilized. An army marches on Arcadia to bring discipline to the tyrant of Tegea. In 3 days, at dawn, he will march from the western gate. You watch them as the words settle. You watch them not as a mother watches her children for signs of distress, but as a drill instructor watches his recruits for signs of weakness. There are no tears. There is no gasp of fear. This is Sparta. But you see the subtle tells. You see Kaniska's small hands clench into tight fists in her lap. You see Lyra's gaze fall to the floor, her bottom lip caught for a fraction of a second between her teeth before she masters it. They are 9 and 11 years old. They are processing the fact that their father is about to march towards a field of spears, and they are doing so in silence, because the first lesson of their lives was that their feelings are a private shame. You are proud of them. The pride is a sharp, painful thing. You see that flicker of doubt in Lyra's eyes, the one she is trying so hard to hide. The child in her is at war with the Spartan you are building. You must intervene. You must reinforce the wall before it cracks. You move closer, kneeling so that you are at her eye level. You do not soften your expression. You make it harder. Lyra, you say, your voice low and intense. You know the stories of your ancestors. When his own mother, your great-grandmother, handed your great-grandfather his shield before he marched to battle, what did she say to him? This is the most sacred text, the founding principle of their identity. Lyra looks up, meeting your gaze. Her young voice is small but steady. She recites the line that every Spartan child learns before they learn to count. Heiten, he epitos. The words are a vow, a command. With it or on it. Return with your shield, victorious, or be carried home upon it, dead. There is no third option. There is no room for capture, for retreat, for survival at the cost of honor. Yes, you say, rising to your full height. With it or on it. That is the only choice. It is his honor, and it is ours. You look at your 2 children. You have given them their orders. Their duty is now to prepare their father's gear, to show a brave face, and to feel nothing but pride. You have successfully armed their hearts against the coming grief. You have given them the tools to endure the unendurable. Or perhaps you have simply taught them how to bleed internally, where no one can ever see the wound. You have done your duty as a Spartan mother. You have taken the raw, human material of your own children and have hammered them into shape on the anvil of the state. You have made Sparta stronger today. And in the profound, echoing silence of your home, you have never felt more utterly, terrifyingly alone. The lesson is over. The heavy words of duty and death hang in the air, but you do not allow them to linger. Ideology must be followed by action. An abstract concept must be hammered into a physical reality. There is work to be done. Come, you say to your daughters. It is the only word you speak. You lead them not to the kitchen, not to the loom, but to a large, unadorned wooden chest that sits against the far wall. It is bigger and heavier than the one that holds your clothes, bigger than the one that holds your memories. This one holds the physical manifestation of your husband's purpose. It holds his other skin. You lift the heavy lid. There is no scent of wool or wood smoke here. The air that rises to meet you is cold and sharp, smelling of metal, old leather, and polishing oil. Inside, nestled in carefully folded linen, lies the bronze and leather panoply of a Spartan hoplite. It looks like a dismembered god, a dormant bronze beast waiting to be woken. This is the next lesson, and it is the most important one of all. The armor requires inspection, you announce, your voice formal. You are no longer just a mother. You are a quartermaster, an armorer, the unseen partner in your husband's lethality. Kaniska, the Xiphos. You gesture to the short-seared in its leather sheath. Your elder daughter nods, her face serious. She lifts the weapon from the chest, her movements careful. She takes it to the hearth, along with a whetstone. She knows her task. Lyra, the greaves. Your younger daughter reaches in and takes out the two sculpted bronze shin guards. They are almost as long as her arms. She carries them to a small stool, along with a pot of oil and a soft wool cloth. Her task is to make them shine. You yourself reach for the heart of the armor, the helmet, and the shield. The work begins in a focused, reverent silence. This is not a chore. It is a ritual. It is the Spartan equivalent of a prayer. A prayer said not with words, but with methodical, practiced care. You listen to the rhythmic shh, shh, shh of the whetstone as Kyniska draws it along the edge of the short sword. She is learning that a wife's devotion is measured in the sharpness of the blade her husband carries. She is ensuring that if he must fight in close quarters, his instrument will be swift and lethal. She is, in her own way, preparing to kill his enemies. You watch Lyra, her small hands working tirelessly, rubbing the oil into the bronze greaves. She is learning that a soldier's appearance is a reflection of his household's discipline. A gleaming piece of armor is a statement of honor. A dulled one is a sign of neglect, of weakness. She is polishing her family's reputation. You turn your attention to the helmet in your lap. A Corinthian helmet. It is a single piece of bronze, heavy and enclosing. You run your hand over its smooth, cool surface. You think of the man who wears it. It protects his head, yes, but it also seals him away from the world. It offers him a view of the battlefield only through two small, almond-shaped eye slits and a narrow gap for his mouth. It is a perfect metaphor for the Spartan mind. Heavily armored, offering only a narrow, focused view of the world and allowing nothing to get in. You take your own cloth and begin to polish, your movements circular, hypnotic. You check the leather lining inside, ensuring it is still supple, that the stitching is strong. You straighten the tall crest of crimson horsehair, a terrifying plume designed to make a man seem taller, more intimidating, less human. Finally, the shield, the aspis. It is too heavy for you to lift alone from the chest. Kaniska, you command. She leaves the now razor-sharp sword and comes to your side. Together, you hoist the immense shield and lean it against the wall. It is a great bronze-faced disc, 3 feet across, concave. It is a wall unto itself. In its center is the stark red letter lambda, or Lacedaemon, for Sparta. This is the true symbol of his identity. A Spartan man is his shield. It protects not only his own body, but, more importantly, it protects the man to his left in the phalanx. To lose one's helmet or spear is a misfortune. To lose one's shield is the ultimate crime. It is an act of selfish cowardice, a betrayal of the man next to you. You run your hands over its surface, feeling for dents, for weaknesses. You inspect the porpex, the central armband through which he slides his forearm, and the antilabe, the leather grip he holds with his hand. Everything must be perfect. This is the object that will keep him in the line. This is the object that will be his final bed, his funeral bier if he falls. It is his protector and his potential coffin, all in one. The work is finished. The pieces are laid out on the floor, gleaming in the lamplight. The helmet with its blood-red crest, the sculpted cuirass that will protect his torso, the greaves shining like dark gold, the razor-sharp sword, and the great silent shield waiting. You have spent your evening lovingly preparing the shell of a man for his possible destruction. You and your daughters, in a strange and terrible parody of family togetherness, have bonded over instruments of death. You have taught them that a woman's love is expressed through maintenance, that affection is measured in the sharpness of a blade and the integrity of a leather strap. The armor is ready. It shines with a cold, impersonal honor. It is perfect. You have polished his coffin and sharpened the instrument of his glory. It is the most profound act of love a Spartan wife can perform. An act of preparation, not for his life, but for his good death. The 3 days of waiting are an exercise in controlled, purposeful motion. You do not sit and brood. Brooding is an indulgence. You manage the estate with a heightened, almost feverish efficiency. You drill your daughters in their lessons with a new, sharp intensity. You busy yourself with the mundane tasks of life, a desperate attempt to pretend that life is in fact continuing as normal. But in the quiet moments, in the space between tasks, the truth asserts itself. The gleaming, silent armor standing in the corner of the room is a constant reminder. It is the guest at your table now, the silent, bronze observer of your final hours of peace. Then, on the dawn of the 3rd day, the sound you have been waiting for arrives. It is a deep, resonant blast from a ram's horn, rolling through the city from the direction of the barracks. It is not a call to arms. That call has already been made. This is the summons, the signal for assembly. It is time. Your husband is there. He arrived in the pre-dawn darkness, a shadow slipping into the house to make his final preparations. Now, in the flickering light of the oil lamps, the final ritual begins. There are no tender words, no final declarations of love. There is only the quiet, efficient process of arming a man for his death or his glory. You and your daughters move around him like acolytes, attending to a living statue. He does not speak. He holds his arms out as Kaniska. Your elder daughter fastens the bronze greaves to his shins, her small fingers struggling but succeeding with the stiff leather straps. Lyra, your youngest, holds the heavy cuirass, the breastplate, steady as he slips his arms through it. You, yourself, lift the heavy Corinthian helmet. You look at his face for a moment before you place it over his head. It is the face of a stranger, a man you have known for 2 decades, but have never been allowed to truly know. His jaw is set, his eyes are distant, already on the plains of Arcadia. You place the helmet over his head. His face disappears. His humanity vanishes. He is no longer Praxis, your husband. He is a hoplite of the Limni regiment. He belongs to Sparta now, completely. He picks up the spear and the great bronze shield. He turns and walks out the door without a backward glance. You and your daughters follow. The streets are filled with a silent, purposeful procession. Other families, other wives, other sons and daughters, all moving in the same direction, towards the western gate. No one is running. No one is crying out. It is a slow, solemn river of people. The crimson of the men's cloaks like blood flowing through the city's stony veins. You find your place along the side of the road that leads out of the city. You stand with your daughters, surrounded by hundreds of other women, a silent, unmoving forest of black and gray tunics. You are the foundation from which the army will launch itself. You are the shore, and the tide of war is about to go out. Then you see them, the army. They are already in formation on the plain outside the gate. A terrifying, beautiful sight. Thousands of men standing in a perfect, silent phalanx, a forest of raised spears, a wall of interlocking bronze shields, the sun just beginning to rise and glinting off their polished surfaces. The air hums with their contained power. A single, piercing horn blast cuts through the dawn, and with a sound like the cracking of the earth, the phalanx begins to move. Unquote. It is a sound you will never forget. It is the sound of 10,000 sandals hitting the ground in perfect unison. It is the rhythmic clank, clank, clank of bronze on bronze. It is the deep, guttural sound of the paean, the battle hymn that begins to rise from 1,000 throats. It is a low, menacing hum, not a song of joy, but a promise of death. The river of crimson and bronze flows past you, rank after rank of identical men. Their faces are hidden behind the intimidating voids of their helmets. They are no longer individuals. They are a single, monstrous armored beast, a centipede of spear and shield, and it is crawling out of your city to devour its enemies. Your eyes desperately scan the ranks of the Limni regiment as they pass. You search for him, for a familiar gait, for the slight scratch on the rim of his shield, for any sign of the man you armed this morning. You find nothing. He is gone. He has been completely subsumed into the collective. He is a single, anonymous cell in the body of the phalanx, indistinguishable from the man in front, the man behind. To see him as an individual now would be a weakness in the whole. The phalanx demands his anonymity. It demands his sacrifice of self. Just as his regiment is about to pass, one helmeted head, in the third rank, turns almost imperceptibly in your direction. A flicker of movement. A brief quarter-second acknowledgement. Was it him, or was it another man, looking at his own wife, his own daughters? You will never know. It does not matter. It is the only farewell you will receive. You stand ramrod straight, your hand gripping Kimiska's shoulder. Your grip is tight, and you feel the small, strong bones of your daughter beneath your hand. You are steadying her, or perhaps she is steadying you. Your face is a perfect mask of pride. You are a Spartan woman. This is your moment of honor. Wait. The last rank of soldiers passes. The sound of their marching begins to fade, the battle hymn becoming a distant drone. You are left with the other women, standing in the dust, watching the army disappear. The state is now in motion. The men go to face the enemy's spears. You and the other women now face your own battle. A longer, quieter war of waiting, of uncertainty, of maintaining a perfect facade of strength for a city that is now hollowed out. You have sent your husband to his glory or his death. Your duty is done, and your sentence has just begun. The army is gone. The great, rhythmic, thundering heart of Sparta has marched out of the city, and what is left is a silence so profound it feels like a physical wound. The day after the departure, you wake to a city that is a ghost of itself. The air, once thick with the energy of thousands of men, is now thin and hollow. The forges are quiet. The training fields are empty. The world has been hollowed out, and you are left rattling around inside the empty shell. This, you realize, is the beginning of the Second War. The men's war is one of bronze and blood, fought over days and weeks in a foreign land. Your war is one of silence and time, and it will be fought here, in the chambers of your own mind, for months, perhaps for years. Your life becomes a fortress of routine. Your duties, the stone walls you build to keep the invading army of fear at bay. You throw yourself into the management of the estate with a new, almost savage intensity. You are the first to rise and the last to sleep. You drive the helots harder, your commands sharper, your inspections more meticulous than ever before. You work until your body aches, until your muscles burn with a fatigue so deep that it might, if you are lucky, grant you a few hours of dreamless sleep. Exhaustion is a blessing. It is a club you use to beat your own thoughts into submission. A tired mind has no energy for the treacherous game of what if. You watch your daughters. They too are fighting this war. They perform their duties with a flawless, terrifying discipline. They do not speak of their father. His name is a ghost you have all tacitly agreed not to summon. But you see the war in their play. Their games with stones are no longer just games. They are tactical arrangements, miniature phalanxes. The stories they tell each other are not of myths and monsters, but of past battles, of heroic last stands. You are proud of their strength. You are horrified by it. You see your own reflection in their young, hard faces, and you see the cycle of Spartan womanhood, a chain of silent suffering, being forged anew. The weaving room becomes your new agora, your intelligence hub. The coded conversations continue, but their nature has changed. Before, you were predicting a storm. Now, you are all trying to chart its path from 1,000 miles away, using only the flimsiest of evidence. A merchant arrived from Corinth, Gorgo might say, her hand steady on the loom. He says the price of timber in Tegea has doubled. The room falls silent as everyone processes the information. Timber for what? Your mind races. For funeral pyres? For reinforcing city walls? It is a piece of a puzzle with 1,000 missing parts. The olive harvest was poor in the lands bordering Arcadia, Telesilla adds. The drought came early. Another piece. Will our army have enough to forage? Is their supply line secure? You are all generals now, fighting a war with rumors and whispers. You analyze trade routes, weather patterns, the price of goods in distant cities. Every scrap of information is a potential omen, a sign of victory or a harbinger of doom. Every conversation is a desperate act of scrying, trying to read the future in the murky waters of second-hand news. Of all the worst moments are the false alarms. One afternoon, weeks into the long wait, the lookout's horn sounds. The signal for a runner. The city freezes. The silence descends again. That same terrible, heart-stopping silence. You are in the square. You see the faces of the other women. The same mask of pride. The same barely concealed terror. You all turn to face the road. A runner appears. He is fast. He is urgent. Your world shrinks to that single, approaching figure. Your blood turns to ice. Is this it? Is this the moment? Is he carrying the scroll that will list the glorious dead? You prepare yourself. You build the walls around your heart, ready for the impact. But the runner does not go to the Ephors building. He veers off, heading for the home of a magistrate, carrying a mundane message about a land dispute. The city lets out a collective, silent breath. the tension breaks, and what rushes in to replace it is not relief. It is a profound, soul-crushing weariness. The walls you built for nothing must be maintained. The emotional armor you donned is heavy, and you are not allowed to take it off. This constant state of alert, this cycle of dread and anticlimax, is a unique form of torture. At night, alone in the darkness, the fortress of your mind sometimes fails. The fear, a patient predator, finds the cracks. You lie awake and see images you cannot control. You see your husband's shield, the one you polished so carefully, split by an Arcadian axe. You see his face, no longer hidden by the helmet, contorted in a final moment of pain. You see him lying in the mud alone. You have to physically shake your head in the darkness to banish the visions. You have to recite the laws of Lycurgus to yourself, a desperate prayer to the god of the state. You remind yourself that his death would be an honor. You remind yourself that your grief is a selfishness you cannot afford. The initial sharp fear of the first few days has faded. It has been replaced by something far more corrosive. A dull, chronic ache in the center of your soul, an exhaustion that no amount of sleep can cure. You have become an expert in the art of not thinking, of not feeling. You live your life in the vast, empty space between one breath and the next. Other Greeks pray to their gods for victory. You have learned that the only prayer a Spartan woman can make is for certainty. Any certainty, even the one you dread the most, because only certainty can end this unbearable, unending silence. Months bleed into one another. The season turns. The sharp clarity of the autumn air gives way to the damp, biting chill of winter. The war, which was once a sharp, singular event on the horizon, has now become the very air you breathe. The waiting has lost its frantic edge. It has settled deep into your bones, a chronic, weary ache. It has become the new normality. Life in Sparta has always been a rehearsal for war. Now, the performance has been running for so long that the distinction between the stage and reality has begun to blur. The first real news from the front does not arrive with a heroic, dust-covered runner. It trickles in like a slow poison. A merchant traveling down from the northern territories brings a list of names. Not an official list. Just names he heard whispered in a border town garrison. The names of the first Spartans to fall in a minor skirmish over a mountain pass. The list is a virus. It spreads through the city in hushed tones, in the weaving room, at the public well. The name Othryades, a young man from a good family, is spoken, and suddenly his mother is no longer seen in public for 3 days. The name Eurytion is whispered, and his wife's loom in the weaving room sits empty, the threads gathering dust. There are no public announcements of grief. There is only a sudden, quiet subtraction from the city's life. A door that remains closed. A voice that is no longer heard. The war has begun to claim its ghosts. Then, one afternoon, the brutality arrives in person. A cart, guarded by a few older soldiers from the city garrison, rumbles through the western gate. It is not a supply wagon. It carries the first of the wounded sent back from the front. You are in the agora with your daughters when it passes. You force yourself to watch. You force them to watch. This, too, in its own way, is a lesson. The men in the cart are not the gleaming, perfect soldiers who marched away. They are broken things. A man with his arm amputated crudely above the elbow, the stump wrapped in stained linen. Another, his face a mask of old, dried blood, staring blankly at nothing. A third, rocking back and forth, a low animal sound of pain escaping his lips, a sound that is quickly and sharply silenced by one of the guards. You look at the faces of the people in the square. No one rushes forward to help. There is no outpouring of pity. There is only a cold, silent, analytical assessment. You look at your own daughters. Caniska, your elder, stares at the man with the missing arm. Her young face is a mask of concentration. His shield arm, she whispers to you, her voice clinical. He is useless to the phalanx now. He cannot protect the man to his left. His life as a soldier is over. She is not seeing a man in agony. She is seeing a broken piece of equipment. A shield that can no longer serve its function. Lyra, your younger daughter, points with a subtle shift of her chin towards the man with the vacant eyes. "Mother," she asks, her voice genuinely curious. "If his mind is gone, but his body is strong, will he still be expected to father children for the state?" The question is so chillingly practical, so perfectly Spartan, that it steals the breath from your lungs. She is not asking about his soul, his suffering. She is asking about his utility, about his function as a breeding animal. In this moment, you see the full, terrifying success of your motherhood. You have raised daughters who can look upon the wreckage of a human being and see only a logistical problem. You have scoured every trace of sentimental weakness from them. You have stripped them of the innocence that should be their birthright. And the pride you feel is mingled with a profound, unspoken horror. A few days later, an official list of the fallen from that first skirmish is posted on a whitened board in the square. Your feet carry you there, though every instinct screams at you to stay away. Your heart pounds a slow, heavy rhythm as you scan the carved names. Othriades, Eurytion, Antenor. You read down the list. Your husband's name Praxis is not there. Cressa's son is not there. Telesilla's son is not there. You feel nothing. There is no soaring wave of relief. There is no joy. There is no moment of grateful prayer. There is only a hollow, empty space where a feeling ought to be. His name is not on the list today. The great battle has not yet been fought. This was not a reprieve. It was merely a postponement of the verdict. To feel relief now would be a foolish waste of energy. You turn away from the list, your face as impassive as the stone statues that watch over the square. The brutality of war has finally arrived in your city, not as a glorious story, but as a quiet list of names and a wagon of broken men. And you find, to your quiet dismay, that it is not as shocking as you once might have feared. It is simply information, a data point in the long, grim calculation of your life. The men have been normalized to the violence of the battlefield. You and your children are being normalized to the violence of the casualty list. In Sparta, everyone is a veteran of one war or another. You are now a veteran of the war of waiting. And you know, with a cold certainty, that the worst is yet to come. The war drags on. The city remains hollowed. The long, grinding routine of waiting has become your life. You have mastered the art of living in the present moment. Because the future is a terrifying unknown, and the past is a locked room you dare not enter, you have become a creature of pure function. You manage the estate. You train your daughters. You weave. You sleep. You repeat. It is a life stripped down to its essential, load-bearing structures. But the human mind is not a Spartan phalanx. It does not always hold its formation. And sometimes, in the quiet moments, a traitor slips through the lines. It happens on an evening, heavy with the scent of rain. You are alone in the main room, mending a tear in your younger daughter's tunic. It is a simple, mechanical task, one that allows your mind to drift. The light from the single oil lamp is low, casting long, dancing shadows on the stone walls. Your daughters are asleep. The house is silent. For a moment, there are no duties, no inspections, no fears to be actively suppressed. The fortress is unguarded, and a memory, swift and silent as an assassin, strikes. It is not a grand memory. It is small, almost insignificant. It is triggered by the simple smell of the lamp oil, a clean, slightly bitter scent. It is the memory of a night, years ago. Your husband, Praxis, was home, a rare occurrence even then. He was working on a piece of his armor, and you were reading a scroll, a dull accounting of the year's olive harvest. A gust of wind had made the lamp flicker wildly, and in the sudden, shifting light, the shadows on his face made him look like a monster from a myth. You had laughed, a real, spontaneous laugh, and he, looking up, had seen your expression and smiled back. Not the grim set of his mouth that passed for a smile now, but a true, unguarded smile that reached his eyes. "You see a Gorgon?" he had asked, his voice laced with a dry humor you so rarely heard. "I see a man who needs a better lamp," you had replied. It was nothing, a moment of shared levity, a brief, fleeting connection that was not about duty or the state. It was just a man and a woman in a room sharing a small joke. It was human. And as the memory surfaces, your hands stop their work. The needle freezes in the cloth. The memory is so vivid, so real. It feels more present than the tunic in your lap. The feeling of it, the warmth, the ease, the simple happiness, is so foreign now. It feels like a language you have forgotten how to speak. Then the conditioning kicks in. Your mind, the ever-vigilant Spartan sentinel, identifies the threat. What was this? The internal voice asks, cold and sharp. It was a moment of frivolity. Frivolity leads to softness. What was the purpose of that smile? It served nothing. It built no strength. It was a waste of energy. You methodically begin to dismantle the memory, to perform a psychological autopsy on your own brief moment of happiness. You strip it of its meaning, its warmth, until it is just a cold collection of facts. A man, a woman, a lamp. You reduce it to nothing. But the first breach has weakened the walls. And a second memory, far more dangerous, slips through in its wake. This one is tied to your son. It is a memory of him as a small boy, no more than 5. He had a fascination with the tiny lizards that sunned themselves on the stone walls of the courtyard. He would spend hours trying to catch one. You remember watching him from the doorway, his complete, single-minded focus, his silent, stalking movements, his face a mask of intense concentration. You had smiled then too, seeing the nascent Spartan hunter in your little boy. He finally caught one, a tiny wriggling creature. He didn't hurt it. He just held it gently in his cupped hands and brought it to you, his eyes wide with triumph and wonder. "Mother," he had whispered, his voice full of awe. "Look, its heart is beating." He had held it out for you, and you remember the feeling of his small, warm hand brushing against yours, the impossible, frantic pulse of the tiny creature within. A small, secret life. This memory is a far more potent poison. It is not about levity. It is about love. The raw, instinctual, fiercely protective love of a mother for her child. A love the state acknowledges as necessary for breeding, but dangerously subversive in its pure form. This is the ultimate weakness, the one you must fight every single day. You close your eyes, your breath catches. For a terrifying second, you can almost feel the phantom weight of his small hand, the frantic beat of the lizard's heart. You stand up abruptly. The stool clatters to the floor behind you. The noise is a welcome violence in the silence. You walk to the basin of water, your movements jerky, uncoordinated. You plunge your hands into the icy water, the shock a welcome punishment. "He is not yours," you tell yourself. The words a silent, desperate chant. "He belongs to the state. That boy is gone. My duty is to the man he is becoming. My duty is not to the memory." You hold your breath, forcing the image from your mind, forcing the feeling from your heart. You are a warrior, and your own past is the enemy. Your own love is the insurgent you must put down. After a long moment, the battle is over. You have won. The insurrection of the past has been quelled. The traitors, a man's laugh, a child's smile, have been defeated. You are safe again inside the fortress of your discipline. You are in control. But as you stand there, dripping water onto the cold stone floor, you feel a profound hollowness. Each time you fight this war and win, another part of you is lost. Another room in the house of your soul is bricked up forever. You wonder in the silent darkness how much of you is even left to defend, or if you are just a ghost, guarding an empty ruin. The seasons have turned, and the war has become a feature of the landscape, as permanent and as unchangeable as the mountains. The sharp initial terror has long since corroded into a kind of weary resignation. You have mastered the art of living with the stone in your heart. It has become a part of you, a familiar, cold weight. The performance of strength is no longer a performance. It is your reality. There is no mask. There is only the pillar of stone. But even stone, over centuries, can crack. The moment it happens is unremarkable. It is a late afternoon. The sun is low, casting the courtyard in a light the color of old bronze. You are watching your daughters practice their athletics. Kaniska, now 12, is throwing a light practice javelin. Her form is a perfect imitation of your own. The powerful turn of the hips, the straight line of the arm, the focused gaze. She releases the javelin, and it flies true, thudding into the packed earth target 50 paces away. She turns to you, her face seeking not praise, but a critical assessment. And in that moment, the world fractures. You do not see Kaniska. You see yourself at 12 years old, your own javelin having just struck its mark. You see your own mother standing where you are standing now, her face wearing the same expression of stern, critical approval. And beyond her, you feel the ghostly presence of her mother, and her mother before that, a long, unbroken line of hard-faced women, watching their daughters throw spears. Then the vision shifts. You look at your daughter again, but now you see her 20 years in the future. She is a woman, her face etched with the same lines of discipline as your own, and she is watching her own daughter, a small, serious girl with your eyes, throw the same javelin under the same bronze sun. Past, present, and future collapse into one single, horrifying, unending moment. You are not a person. You are a link in a chain, a single identical bead on a string that stretches back into the darkness of the past and forward into the darkness of the future. The faces change, but the role is always the same. Raise the body to be strong. Raise the mind to be hard. Raise daughters who will raise more daughters to do the same. And raise sons to be fed to the great, insatiable hunger of the Spartan state. The realization is not a thought. It is a physical sensation, a wave of vertigo that makes you grip a nearby pillar for support. The purpose of your life, the grand, glorious purpose you have been taught since birth, is suddenly revealed to you in all its stark, mechanical cruelty. It is a cycle, a meat grinder. The men are born, they are trained, they fight, they die. They get the honor of a swift, glorious end. Their story has a climax, a victory or a noble death. But the women are the ones who must remain. You are the ones who must keep the machine running, who must endure the silence and raise the next generation for the harvest. Your war never ends. It is a long, slow, grinding siege against your own soul, and your only duty is to never, ever surrender. What is it all for? You try to grasp the reason. To conquer Tegea? To subjugate the Messenians? The reasons for the wars seem so small, so petty, so utterly insignificant compared to the immense generational sacrifice required to sustain them. The glory of Sparta is a fire, and you and your children are merely the wood, stacked generation after generation, waiting to be consumed. For a terrifying, exhilarating moment, you want to scream. You want to shatter the sacred silence. You want to run to your daughters, grab them and tell them to flee. To run to Corinth and become a potter. To run to Athens and become a courtesan. To become anything other than this. Anything other than a perfect, polished link in this unbreakable chain. The impulse is so strong, your muscles tense. It is the most rebellious, the most human thought you have had in your entire adult life, and it is the most dangerous. The conditioning of a lifetime rises up to meet it. The discipline you have practiced every day asserts itself. The fortress walls, which for a moment had cracked, are hastily rebuilt. You cannot break, because if you break, what happens to them? Your weakness would condemn them. Your only path is to make them strong enough to endure the same fate, to teach them to love their chains. You release your grip on the pillar. You force the vertigo down. You force the screaming vision of the future out of your mind. You look at your daughter, Kaimiska, who is still waiting patiently for your critique. You find a flaw. You must find a flaw. Perfection is an illusion. Your follow-through, you say, your voice a little hoarse but steady. You are letting your arm drop too soon. It costs you distance. Do it again. Kainiska nods, accepting the criticism without question. She retrieves the javelin. You have seen the true shape of your prison. It is not made of stone walls, but of time itself. You have seen the truth, that your life's great work is to prepare your own beloved children for a life of pain. And faced with this unbearable, soul-crushing reality, you do the only thing a Spartan woman can do. You ignore it. You focus on the task at hand. You correct your daughter's stance. You have to. Because if you were to stop, even for a second, the screaming might begin. And you are terrified that you would not be the only one. The vision of the unending cycle haunts you. It is a truth you cannot unsee. You carry on with your duties, but there is a new brittleness to your composure. You are a statue that has discovered it is hollow inside. You have seen the futility of the machine, yet you are still one of its most vital components. The war grinds on in the distant highlands of Arcadia, and the silence in Sparta becomes heavier, more permanent. The days are all the same, a blur of work and waiting, until one day they are not. It is midday. The sun is high and hot. You are in the courtyard, watching Lyra practice her letters, scratching them into a wax tablet. Then it comes, the sound, the one you have been subconsciously listening for every second of every day for over a year. A single, piercing, sustained blast from the southern watchtower. The horn, the signal for a runner, but this one is different. It is followed by a second, and then a third. It is the signal for major news, the news of a decisive battle. The city does not freeze this time. The reaction is faster, more practiced. Everyone knows what to do. You take your daughters by the hand, your face already a blank slate of stone, and you walk towards the agora. There is no choice. Attendance at the verdict is a civic duty. The square is already full. It is a silent congregation, a sea of crimson and dark wool. You find your place. You see the other women whose husbands and sons are in the 1st and 2nd battalions. You see Telesilla, her face like carved marble. You see Cressa, her hands trembling so badly she has hidden them in the folds of her tunic. You are all here, a silent sisterhood of dread, each of you utterly alone. You wait. The sun beats down on your head, and then you see him, the runner. He is gaunt, his ribs showing, his skin burned dark by the sun. He looks older, harder than the boy who brought the first news. He runs with the same relentless pace, but there is an exhaustion deep in his bones. He does not go to the E4's building. He runs to the center of the square, where a herald is already waiting, standing on a small wooden platform. This news is for everyone. It is for now. The runner reaches the herald, hands him a sealed bronze message tube, and then stumbles to the side, collapsing onto a step, his duty finally done. The herald, a man with a booming voice, unseals the tube and unfurls a long, thin scroll of papyrus. He raises his hand for absolute silence, a silence that is already perfect. "People of Sparta," he begins, his voice ringing across the square. "Rejoice! The armies of the Arcadian League have been crushed at the Battle of Mantinea. The tyrant of Tegea has been slain. The rebellious cities have been brought to heel. The honor of our allies has been satisfied. Sparta is victorious. A cheer goes up from the throats of the old men and the youths, the ones left behind. It is a strange sound, a deep, guttural, disciplined roar. It is not a sound of wild joy. It is a sound of grim satisfaction, a roar of a lion that has just broken the back of its rival. The cheer dies as quickly as it began. The herald raises his hand again. His face, which was momentarily triumphant, settles back into a mask of solemn duty. "The victory was great," he says, his voice dropping, "and the price was heavy. Listen now and honor the sons of Sparta who have paid the price of glory." He begins to read from the scroll, the list. He starts with the names from the royal guard. With each name that is read, you feel a subtle shift in the crowd, as if a wife, a mother, a sister somewhere in the silent mass has just begun her own private, terrible performance of pride. Your hearing becomes preternaturally sharp. You hear the soft rustle of wool. You hear the intake of breath from the woman next to you. You hear the blood roaring in your own ears. The herald moves on. He begins to read the names from the regiment of Kynosora. Telesilla's son. You do not look at her, but you are aware of her, a pillar of grief somewhere to your left. The list goes on. Her son's name is not read. Then he comes to the regiment of Limni, your husband's regiment. Your vision narrows. The crowd, the square, the sun, it all fades to a blur. There is only the voice of the herald, a disembodied instrument of fate, reading a list of names. Antenor, son of Lycurgos. Damon, son of Philippos. Gylippos, son of Cleombrotos. The names go on, each one a hammer blow. He is moving through the alphabetical roll. You know where your husband's name should be. It is coming. You are no longer thinking. You are no longer feeling. You are a vessel. You are an empty room, waiting for a single word to be spoken that will either furnish it with continued dread or burn it to the ground. The herald takes a breath. Praxis, son of Euboros. The name is spoken, and the world does not end. The sun does not fall from the sky. There is only the name, hanging in the hot, still air. Your name. A single, clear thought forms in your mind. A piece of ice in a sea of fire. It is done. The waiting is over. You feel the eyes of the city on you. You feel the weight of their judgment, their expectation. And you do what you were born to do, what you were raised to do, what you have been preparing for your entire life. You lift your chin. You straighten your back until your spine feels like a spear shaft. A strange, terrible, and undeniably real sense of pride swells in your chest. It is the pride of a masterpiece completed. Your husband has fulfilled his purpose. He is a hero. You have fulfilled your purpose. You are the mother of his children, the wife of a hero. This is your victory too. The herald finishes the list. The ceremony is over. People begin to move. Women who have received the same news as you are being congratulated by others. You see Cressa's son's name was not on the list. She is weeping with relief. A shameful display that will bring her house dishonor. You, on the other hand, are a paragon. You are the ideal. You turn to walk home. Your husband is dead. Your children are fatherless. Your home is now truly empty, and you have never been more admired. You have never been more respected. You have achieved the highest honor a Spartan woman can hope for. You have become a living monument to your city's glory, a beautiful, revered, and utterly desolate ruin. And so, her life as a living monument begins, a long, quiet vigil of pride and unspoken grief. I hope you found this journey into the disciplined, iron heart of Sparta to be immersive and thought-provoking. If you appreciate these deep, often somber explorations of the past, and if this story serves as a way for you to unwind, to think, or even to find rest, I would be honored if you would support the channel. Your subscription is the single most important way to ensure we can continue to create these journeys together. Please consider leaving a like if you found value in the story of this Spartan woman, and share your thoughts in the comments below. What aspect of her life did you find the most surprising or the most challenging? Thank you for listening. Until our next journey into the past, sleep well.